not throw you out of the country.
Just go and play sex next to the valley's head.
Lord,
Sweeping time. Sweeping time.
A new chapter for TNT. We're red, ready, and responsible. Vote PNM. Great is the PNM.
Ball is it in your hand. PNM is the plan. Ready, hold it steady. We are one blood flowing through we vein. We stand strong and be on the road again. We are one, every creed and every race. We stand strong and no time to waste. We want your calling out all our way, friends and family with love for TNT. From the mountain top to the valley low, everywhere we go, country before party. We working together, we building together. Young will make it better. Side by side, together, we standing for our nation's future. This is a movement we all in together, not just so one. My sister, my brother, Balize in your hand. PNM is the plan. Ready, hold it steady. We are one. We stand strong. We are one. We stand strong. Together, no time to waste.
A new chapter for TNT. We're red, ready, and responsible. On April 28th, vote PNM. Great is the PNM.
ready, show me who ready, show me who ready. This is the time, this is the place, the future is here, no time to waste. We build on the strength of those who trod this road before. Coming again, coming again. 'Cause I feel the light, shining so bright in the heart and we soul. Red, black and white, together we strong, come sun, come rain. 'Cause it's blood in we veins, we all are the same. You don't know we red already. Things and set already. Tell them we all in, we all in, we all in. Don't know we red already. Things and set already. Tell them we all in, we all in, we all in. Oh, tell them we all in. Oh, just tell them we all in. Oh, tell them we all in. Tell them we all in. Tell them we all in. We under the same sky, feeling the same things. The movement is forward. We all want the same thing. Together we aspire, so we must achieve. Call the red army, the whole of TNT. So show them we red already. The thing done set already. Tell them we all in, we all in, we all in. Don't know we red already. The thing done set already. Tell them we all in, we all in, we all in. Oh, tell them we all in. Oh, just tell them we all in. Oh, tell them we all in. Tell them we all in. Fire in the soul, a nation so strong. Through the heart of a people, the victory is won. We fight for tomorrow, we fight for today. Stand strong together, blow the evil away. If we are one, the victory is sure. Divide and rule, we don't want that no more. Clean heart, clean hands, it's love to the core. And if love is the word, about that we show. You don't know, so tell them you're ready already. Things are set already. Tell them we all in, we all in, we all in. Don't know we ready already. The thing that's set already. Tell them we all in, we all in, we all in. Oh, tell them we all in. Oh, just tell them we all in. Oh, tell them we all in. Tell them we all in. Tell them we all in. Tell them we ready and ready. Thing that's set already. Tell them we all in, we all in, we all in.
Can you really
Be all
trust
in
the
for
UNC?
TNT on
The
April
last
28th.
time Kama and the
Vote
Cabal were in
PNM.
charge,
Great
they
is
squandered
the
$24 billion in cash and ran up a $9 billion overdraft at the Treasury. All this while energy revenues went from $17 billion to $1 billion. The last time they won, you lost the Treasury. We know how this movie ends. Let's make the last time the last time. On April 28th, reject the UNC.
Again.
Calling out all our we friends and family with love for TNT. From the mountaintop to the valley low, everywhere we go, country before party. We working, we building, young will make it better. Side by side, we standing for our nation's future. This is a movement we all in together, not just so one. My sister, my brother, Balize in your hand. PNM is the plan. Ready, hold it steady. We are one blood flowing through we vein. We stand strong, and army on the road again. We are one, every creed and every race. We stand strong together, no time to
New chapter for TNT. We're red, ready, and responsible. Vote PNM. Great is the PNM.
Hey! Oh, na na na. Red and ready, here we all. Yeah. Red and ready, here we all. Calling all the red army. Red and ready, here we all. Yeah, yeah. We all. Oh, na na na. Red and ready, here we all. Calling all the red army. Red and ready, here we all. Trinidad and Tobago. Red and ready, here we all. Yeah, we all. Yeah, we red and ready now. Calling the red army. Calling out all our we friends and family with love for TNT. From the mountaintop to the valley low, everywhere we go, country before party. PNM, we working together, we building together, young will make it better. PNM, side by side together, we standing together for our nation's future. This is a movement we all in together, not just so one. My sister, my brother, Balize in your hand. PNM is the plan. Ready, hold it steady. PNM, speed on in. One blood flowing through we vein. Speed on in. Red army on the road again. Speed on in. Every creed and every race. Speed on in. Together, no time to waste. Speed on in. From Frederick Street to Boko Reef. Speed on in. The Balize is what we need. Speed on in. Tell them this and say it then. Speed on in. The PNM we need again. Speed on in. Taking it to the streets, wherever we meet. We talking to everyone all over the country. The message is loud and clear. We want you to volunteer, spreading the word. Country before party. PNM, sun or rain, together we remain together. We're gonna make things better. PNM, young and old, together standing tall. Together, this is a new chapter. Together we standing, no tribes intertwined. Working together, we all in the line. Let's do this together, your future and mine. Ready, hold it steady. PNM, speed on in. One blood flowing through we vein. Speed on in. Red army on the road again. Speed on in. Every creed and every race. Speed on in. Together, no time to waste. Speed on in. From Frederick Street to Boko Reef. Speed on in. The Balize is what we need. Speed on in. Tell them this and say it then. Speed on in. The PNM we need again. Speed on in. Red and ready, here we all. Yeah. Red and ready, here we all. Trinidad and Tobago. Red and ready, here we all. Yeah, we all. Yeah, we red and ready now. PNM, we working together, we building together. We gonna make things better. PNM, side by side together, we standing together for our nation's future. This is a movement we all in together, not just so one. My sister, my brother, Balize in your hand. PNM is the plan. Ready, hold it steady. PNM, speed on in. One blood flowing through we vein. Speed on in. Red army on the road again. Speed on in. Every creed and every race. Speed on in. Together, no time to waste. Speed on in. From Frederick Street to Boko Reef. Speed on in. The
remember the last UNC-led coalition? The UNC PRO Kirk Megu said that coalitions in Trinidad and Tobago have a tendency to implode under the weight of their internal contradictions. The leader of NJAC publicly denounced corruption in the government that he helped to form. The OWTU leader, Ansel Roger, publicly savaged the UNC and vowed to get her out of office. The MSJ severed ties with the People's Partnership. How can you trust Kamala and her cabal to manage a country when they cannot even manage their party? We know how this movie ends. Let's make the last time. On April 28th, reject the UNC.
Again.
Can you really trust the UNC? The last time Kamala and the cabal were in charge, they squandered $24 billion in cash and ran up a $9 billion overdraft at the Treasury. All this while energy revenues went from $17 billion to $1 billion. The last time they won, you lost the Treasury. We know how this movie ends.
Calling out all our we friends and family with love for TNT. From the mountaintop to the valley low, everywhere we go, country before party. We working together, we building together. Young will make it better. Side by side, together, we standing together for our nation's future. This is a movement we all in together, not just so one. My sister, my brother, Balize in your hand. PNM is the plan. Ready, hold it steady. We are one. We stand strong. We are one. We stand strong. Together, no time to waste.
New chapter for TNT. We're red, ready, and responsible. On April 28th, vote PNM. Great is the PNM.
Calling out all our we friends and family with love for TNT. From the mountaintop to the valley low, everywhere we go, country before party. We working, we building, young will make it better. Side by side, we standing for our nation's future. This is a movement we all in together, not just so one. My sister, my brother, Balize in your hand. PNM is the plan. Ready, hold it steady. We are one blood flowing through we vein. We stand strong and we on the road again. We are one, every creed and every race. We stand strong together, no time to waste. We want you from Frederick Street to Boko Reef. We are one, the Balize is what we need. We want you, tell them this and say it plain. We want you, the PNM we need again. We want you, sun or rain, together we remain together. We gonna make things better. Young and old, standing tall. This is a new chapter. Together we standing, all tribes intertwined. Working together, we all in the line. Let's do this together, your future and mine. Ready, hold it steady. We are one blood flowing through we vein. We stand strong and we on the road again. We are one, every creed and every race. We stand strong together, no time to waste. We want you from Frederick Street to Boko Reef. We are one, the Balize is what we need. We want you, tell them this and say it plain. We want you, the PNM we need again. We want you.
New chapter for TNT. We're red, ready, and responsible. Vote PNM. Great is the PNM.
Calling out all our we friends and family with love for TNT. From the mountaintop to the valley low, everywhere we go, country before party. We working, we building, young will make it better. Side by side.
I'm Curtis Forrester, past student at Moruga Secondary School, and I proudly endorse Lisa Tuota to be the next Member of Parliament for Moruga Tabela. At my time at Moruga Secondary School, she has been a mentor, she has been a guiding role in the life of all young people, And I urge you young people of Moruga Tableland to join forward and share and be a part of this experience as we take Moruga Tableland forward. On April 28th, vote Lisa Atwater for Moruga Tableland.
Together we standing, all tribes intertwined. Working together, we all in the line. Let's do this together, your future and mine. Red and ready, hold it steady. We are one blood flowing through we vein. We stand strong, and we on the road again.
Welcome to the constituency of Moruga Tableland. We may be rural in location, but we are big on heritage. We are big on diversity. We are big on harmony. We are big on respect for each other. We are diverse. We have diverse population, diverse religions, cultural backgrounds, and all of those qualities going to make us the unique melting pot that we are. I am proud to be a product of this rich cultural heritage that is Moruga Tableland. So I've walked the corridors of this institution all my life. I've been here for 30 plus years. I know the students, their parents, I know the priests, the fishermen, the agriculturists, I know their hopes, I know certainly aware of the challenges, and I just want to be part of the solution. The solution of being all in for Trinidad and Tobago and all in for Moruga Tableland constituency. Youth development and training, entrepreneurship, and a host of other services that will help improve our quality of life.
My name is Mrs. Antonia Nabi. I will be endorsing Lisa Atwater, the candidate for Moruga Tableland, as our candidate. The reason why is because Lisa Atwater is a daughter of the soil, born in Madingo Road, and she came to Moruga over 30 years now, serving at Moruga Composite as an educator. So I think that given this opportunity to serve Moruga Tableland, Lisa will be the best candidate. I endorse her for the Moruga Tableland because at Moruga Tableland constituency, it will be better with Atwater.
Working together, we all in the line. Let's do this together, your future and mine. Red and ready, hold it steady. We are one blood flowing through we vein. We stand strong, and we on the road.
So folks, where do we go from here? What do we want for our future? I am not merely asking for your vote. I am asking you to believe. Believe in a better tomorrow. Let's go all in. All in for Moruga Tableland. All in for Trinidad and Tobago.
New chapter for TNT. We're red, ready, and responsible. Vote PNM. Great is the PNM.
Calling out all our we friends and family with love for TNT. From the mountain top to the valley low, everywhere we go, country before party. We working, we building, young will make it better. Side by side, we standing for our nation's future. This is a movement we all in together, not just so one. My sister, my brother, Balize in your hand. PNM is the plan. Red and ready, hold it steady. We are one blood flowing through we vein. We stand strong and we on the road again. We are one, every creed and every race. We stand strong together, no time to quit.
New chapter for TNT. We're red, ready, and responsible. Vote PNM. Great is the PNM.
Calling out all our we friends and family with love for TNT. From the mountain top to the valley low, everywhere we go, country before party. We working, we building, young will make it better. Side by side, we standing for our nation's future. This is a movement we all in together, not just so one. My sister, my brother, Balize in your hand. PNM is the plan. Red and ready, hold it steady. We are one blood flowing through we vein. We stand strong and we on the road again.
chapter for TNT. We're red, ready, and responsible. Vote PNM. Great is the PNM.
Ready, ready, show me who ready, ready, show me who ready, ready. This is the time, this is the place. The future is here, no time to waste. We build on the strength of those who trod this road before. Coming again, coming.
Where so many religions can be represented in the Croisee PNM family, give yourself a round of applause. You are here in your absolute thousands in the Croisee. This Croisee is a meeting point and a melting pot. At this Croisee, we have a RUNG St. Joseph, where yours truly is the candidate for the upcoming local elections. Across the way, Dr. Yunus Ibrahim is your candidate for Barataria San Juan. To the northwest, Dr. Nayan Gatsby Dolly, candidates for St. Anne's East. So the question to be asked of the two are PNM MPs, but we need a third. Are you going to elect Croisee, Dr. Yunus Ibrahim, to be the next member of parliament for Barataria San Juan? If the answer is yes, when I say vote, you say PNM. Vote, vote, vote. And without much further ado, the man who will take the next seat, the man who will take Barataria San Juan, I give you a real man. I give you the consummate professional. I give you a man of deep convictions. He is not only a dentist as a professional, he has a fellowship and mastership in the International Congress of International Implantologists. So if you need an implant, go by Yunus. I hear he's the only dentist who could do root canal without anesthesia. He's so good. He has served for 20 years in the healthcare field. He's a government senator, vice president of the senator. He is fair and thorough. The man, the candidate, a strong advocate for transparency, development, and putting people first. Barataria San Juan, I give you again a real man. Barataria San Juan and the Croisee, I give you the consummate professional. Barataria San Juan, I give you a man of deep conviction. Barataria San Juan, I give you a son of the soil. I give you a man who is red, a man who is ready, a man who is responsible. Croisee, lift your voices in PNM style for your candidate. I give you Dr. Yunus Ibrahim.
Gosh, look at people. Now they say two things don't win elections: crowds and polls. But if this crowd had to say and show the support we have today for Barataria San Juan to bring it home, well, PNM family, we have things looking good. I'm going to be brief. I see I have 7.5 minutes here. I would have liked more. But let me introduce myself to those who don't know me. My name is Dr. Muhammad Yunus Ibrahim, and it's my absolute pleasure standing on all protocols observed here tonight to address you here in this august crowd, a crowd that I am familiar with, an area that I know too well. It is 25 years 3 years before I finished my degree, my second degree, I landed right here in the Croisee, and it's 25 years of staying, and it's the next 25 and 30 years, I ain't going nowhere. I challenge any of my 3 contestants, any single one, to ask themselves, and you ask them, did you ever live here? Have you ever voted here? Have you ever invested your livelihood here? Have you ever served the community by hiring hundreds and hundreds of young entrepreneurs and people who wanted a better time and a better way? It gives me absolute pride and joy to walk the constituency and to meet individuals whom worked under me when I was the Director of Operations at Ramashanila, right there where Massey is, right there. And they say, oh gosh, Mr. Yunus, is you? Nah, they pull out the whole house. They say, Mommy, Daddy, this is the man who showed me the way. This is the man who showed me what an honest work of an honest day pay was. This is the man who has come forward and brought me where I couldn't get at O-levels, and he nurtured me into excellence of what I serve. But let me tell you something. I found myself in Barataria, San Juan, a place that I quickly became not just a stop along the way. It came home. I fell in love with the energy, the warmth of the people, and the rhythm of everyday life here. So much so, I have planted my business here in this constituency and built my life around it. Barataria, San Juan, 25 years of service, you have built me. Allow me to build you. Allow me, your sour boy, to be the one who comes forward and carries you to greatness. Look around us. Let me tell you something. I used to live right there on 48 Eastern Main Road, Sour. I come in Sour for love, and I stay in Sour because of love. I used to sit down right there, and I used to watch the prime ministers come and go and look across the avenue in Socorro Village. Meetings wasn't here, you know. Meetings was across there in Socorro Village when it was not True Value. It was a high-low. It was a big car park, and all we used to flood the streets. Let me tell you something. Ask yourself a question, Barataria, San Juan. You have a candidate here who comes from a life of service. Another thing I challenge you to ask, do you have an individual who both parents are still alive and have been honored by different presidents of this great country we live in? Do you have that in them? My father has Shakonia Silver for community service, Dr. Mansour Ibrahim. He was honored by President Robinson. My mother has Shakonia Gold. She was honored by President Carmona. But my love for Barataria San Juan didn't stop there. I was given a blessing by the last Prime Minister and current political leader to represent Trinidad and Tobago, to walk in the Senate and put on my red, my black, my white, and represent this country as an intellect who was able to bring many, and add to many legislative agendas of for the country. That fire was lit inside of me when I was declared and announced as the chairman of the Joint Select Community of Human Rights, Equality, and Diversity. That is when it struck a note to me. Not when I became the vice president of the Senate. When I was given that responsibility. That is what made me realize the beauty of public service. That chairmanship of that Joint Select Committee, according to my faith as a Muslim, they have 2 people we have to see about first. We have to see first about the orphans and the children, and we have to see about the elderly and the women who have no help. That committee allowed me to exercise my faith as a Muslim, to be able to bring about legislative recommendations for the members of parliament who served in education. As our MP, Dr. Nayan Gatsby-Dolly, received many recommendations from me. We received many recommendations for the Ministry of National Security. We gave many recommendations to the Office of the Prime Minister when it came to child and gender affairs. We walked into every single home, every single children's home when there was a dark cloud over it. And through the PNM and watching of the executive, we brought light to the matter. I have represented you as a senator, but I am not yet your member of parliament for Barataria San Juan. Today I seek to become that, having been invited by the People's National Movement to step forward and bring both worlds together, national leadership and love. Always remember here, I here because I love, and I love you. Everyone knows that I am a son of the soil of Barataria San Juan, not just by birth, but by choice. And there's no place I'd rather stand and serve. My heart belongs here. Putting aside my dental practice, putting aside my heritage, putting aside the fact that I ran organizations that encompass thousands of people, not hundreds, thousands as the Supermarket Association president. I have one commitment to you as my home as Barataria San Juan. When elected your MP, I will put Barataria San Juan first. Let me sit at the table. Let me sit at the table and give you fine representation. Let me sit at the table and lobby for you. Let me sit at the table and bring the grit, the hard testicular fortitude with the backing of the women of the PNM and the children of the PNM. And let us make this community the greatest, because great is the PNM, great is the PNM, great is the PNM, and we shall prevail.
Let me hear the Barataria San Juan posse. Let me hear you. Let me hear you say you are going to vote for Dr. Yunus Ibrahim. When I say vote, you say Yunus. Vote. 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 Ladies and gentlemen, the Croisee is known for its organized chaos, its pandemonium. But the Croisee is a place of the market, a place of great congregation, taxi stands. It represents all that is good about Trinidad and Tobago. But our next speaker also represents the best of Trinidad and Tobago, the best of a strong PNM woman. She's a graduate of the St. Augustine Girls High School. Anybody else here from SAGS? 1, 2, Maxine, my wife. I see a few more hands. Good. She's a graduate of the University of the West Indies. Any graduates from UE here? Oh, God, I've seen plenty hands. Camille, my wife, Maxine, plenty more. Excellent. In 2015, she was your Minister of Community Development, Culture and the Arts, and she oversaw with great success Carrie Festa. You remember that? Give her a round of applause for that. In 2020, she became this country's Minister of Education. And some people say she has been the best Minister of Education this country has ever seen. If you agree, say yeah, yeah. She is also a deputy political leader of the PNM. And she did all this in a short space of time. Her PNM roots are deep. Her PNM roots are strong. I introduce to you a member of parliament. I introduce you a government minister. I introduce to you a woman, a wife, a mother, a singer. I introduce to you the Honorable Dr. Nyan Gatsby Dolly.
We moving bold, we moving strong. Dolly delivers, we can't go wrong. From Maracas Bay to Valley View, Dolly delivers, we coming true. Fixing the roads, building the schools. Dolly delivers, changing the rules. She know the struggle, she feel the pain. Working hard through sun and rain. With Dolly's heart and Dolly's drive, Sentans East will truly thrive. Dolly, we moving with you. Sentans East coming true.
such a pleasure to welcome the PNM to the Croisee. Welcome to the Croisee, PNM. Give the PNM a sour welcome. It is an honor and a pleasure to stand here before you as the Member of Parliament for St. Anne's East for the past 10 years and the incoming Member of Parliament for St. Anne's East for another 5 years. 2 good terms deserve another. St. Joseph, you know what you have to do because you have a treasure in Terry. Terry is a treasure. So come the 20th of April, don't make a mistake. Vote solidly for Terrence, they all sing. Barataria San Juan. Now, although I represent St. Anne's East, my navel string buried in Barataria San Juan, I am still a resident of Sunshine Avenue. Barataria San Juan, it is time to bring it home. We couldn't get a better candidate, and we are voting for Eunice. Eunice, you have my vote. Tell them tonight in this Croisee, Saddam nothing. Saddam nothing. Tell them one more time, Saddam nothing. We voted for Eunice. Tonight, I want to deal with some of the bread and butter issues in education. As I recognize the executive of the People's National Movement, I recognize cabinet ministers, members of parliament, candidates and incoming members of parliament here with us in the Croisee. And of course, you in your thousands here to show the support and the strength of the PNM. I want to deal with some of the bread and butter issues, and I'm going into them quickly because I want to finish all that I have to say. Because you know, when you start to report, there is no folly with Dolly. And you know that? There is no folly with Dolly here tonight. So tonight I want to get into it one time to deal with some of the things that you know are affecting you, that you understand you want us to do better with, and you understand you want us to tell you what we have been doing to help you and your children in the education system. You ready for this tonight? Are you ready for PNM education tonight? Make your notes, starting with bullying. Is bullying a problem? I want to make this statement and make it clear. The PNM government does not and will not condone bullying and violence in our schools in any form. And I'm saying that here tonight for those of you who have children who are being bullied, and for those of you who have children that are bullies and you are not making sure that they do what they have to do at home. I'm speaking to you, some of us as parents, who are not doing what we have to do and expect the teachers to do all the training in the school. If you break it at home, don't expect the teachers to fix it. We will not condone it. What have we been doing at this time to deal with bullying? You would have seen us in 2022 meet with the police, meet with the Ministry of Social Development, meet with Children's Authority, to discuss the issue of violence in our schools, bullying, taxing in our schools. And you would have seen us come up with ways to deal with that. So now, when we are having problems in our schools, we send out the student support officers. We send them to deal with the parents, deal with the students. Sometimes we have to call the community police to deal with the issues. We have to be calling the parents sometimes. And sometimes parents who are supposed to come in, you can't get on to the parents. Number change. These are some of the challenges we face. And I will tell you this, that we have stuck to our no violence policy. And what has that led to? That has led to more children being removed from the school system at this time than ever in our system. We have had to remove them. Because when we have parents complaining over and over, your children going to school. We know how you feel when you send your child to school and somebody bullies your child. So we have had to take them out. But we are taking them out in a humane way. We're not putting them on the streets to give us a different problem. We are sending them to serve all. We are sending them to MILATs. And in that way, we are giving them, even the bullies, a chance for transformation. That is the PNM way. And because we have adopted that position, more of our principals are reporting what is going on in the schools because they feel a sense of hope that someone will do something about it. But what are we going to do in the future? You have heard the Minister of Youth Development speak about rebuilding the youth camps. Have you heard that? Those youth camps are important pieces of the puzzle because they will form somewhere that we can send our children to when they need a different type of environment to transform their behavior. That's the future. We are looking forward to the MILAT for girls because you have seen how good MILAT has been for our boys. Well, we need that for our girls now, and the Ministry of Youth Development is setting about to do that. In the student support services, I will tell you a little bit more about the staff that we have identified, and we are going to move to hire more staff there because they are the people that directly interact with your children when they need more help. They are the ones that speak to our children when they need guidance. They are the ones that can help parents to fill the gap where we have our children misbehaving. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about how we're going to do that in the future. But remember this, when we hire more people in the student support services, in the restorative practices, it's going to cost more money. But if we don't spend money in the schools, we will spend it in the jail. If we don't spend money in the schools, where we will spend it? We prefer to spend it in the schools. I want to speak about the cost of school books. Parents, am I touching your heart here? Cost of school books. I want to tell you the days of school book lists being changed every year on a whim, different editions, one word change. Those days are over. It is unfair to parents, and it is completely unnecessary. And there is something going on there, but the PNM has been able to address it. For the past 2 years, we have frozen the book list. What does that mean? It means that the book list that was for Form 2 in this particular school, for the past 2 years, we have said to principals, make no changes in the book list. That way, if you have a child that just finished Form 2 and going to Form 3, and you have another child coming up in Form 2, or you have a nephew or cousin, you can pass on the books. That is the saving for your children. That is what PNM does because we understand and we care. We gave out 20,000 book grants in 2024, and I can tell you that we have already begun discussions around if we can do more than that in 2025. The PNM understands the pain and the PNM cares. We are working to ensure that no school book list in the future will be changed without approval. And this year, again, we are going to freeze it. So parents, you will not have the pain of new books every single school year. I want to talk about school infrastructure, because that's a topic that is very, very, very important. And everybody always speaks, especially when school is going to open, about school infrastructure. You know this already, because I have said it enough times, that our schools are aging. Back in 1962 and coming forward, we would have built new schools. But by now, our schools are older, so they're calling for more and more repairs. But remember, if we do not inject the funds into our schools, then our children will not be able to attend in a comfortable climate. So it will cost money because we have to inject some billions into our schools to fix them. And the PNM has started to do that, and we will continue to do that. But if we don't spend the money in our schools, where will we spend it? In the jail. We prefer to spend it in the schools. We have built and completed, and children are sitting in 30 new schools and school blocks. When I say we finish, I mean the children are there sitting, not like what Gopi Singh spoke about with the 100 schools that you can't see up to now. As the old people say, where is school? You can't find it. And no matter how you ask, they keep repeating that, but we have done, I'll call out some of the names for you. Ramai Trace, SDMS, Maracas Valley, ECCE, St. Anne's East, our place. La Pastora, ECCE, St. Anne's East, our place. Sisters Road Anglican, Fanny Village Government Primary, San Juan Government Primary, Barataria Sawa, big up yourself. Bellevue, Indigo Martin Girls RC, Arima Hindu, and St. George's College. And as we say St. George's College, I want to speak a little bit about that. Because we had cause in the Ministry of Education to move that school to Valsayn for a bit. We moved it there to fix the school building. And I was shocked and surprised that a member of parliament was very interested and invested on leaving St. George's up in Valsayn. Your member of parliament here, the outgoing member of parliament, Saddam Hussein, he was very interested in leaving St. George's up in Valsayn. What kind of member of parliament will want to move a jewel like St. George's College from the people of Barataria? What is he doing? Who does that? No MP does that. Saddam, nothing! But not on my watch. Not on my watch. I don't care how much bacchanal they try to make. We brought it back, and St. George's is nestled in Barataria for the people of Barataria San Juan, and there it will stay. That is the PNM for you. So when you're looking at an MP who could want to take that from his people, what kind of MP is that? Get a decent MP. Yunus is the MP we want. We are going to move to complete all of the incomplete schools in phases, as we have been doing. We already invested almost $1 billion to complete about 26 of those schools. We invested another $175 million to deal with some of our government schools, and I'm going to come to that. And in the future, we already have $225 million earmarked for 15 more schools, and we will continue until we finish all of the schools. That is the commitment of the People's National Movement to you, the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. But to do that, you have to vote wisely on April the 28th. I want to talk a little bit about school transport. Currently, we transport more than 6,000 students with 143 maxis all over the country. But we have been hearing cries for more maxis, more routes, and the People's National Movement will discuss with PTSC how we can expand this and ensure we are meeting the needs of our students. And I want to speak to the drivers, because the drivers are always sometimes with an issue that we have been working on. And you notice recently we have been doing a lot better with the consistency of payments. And I want to assure the drivers that we will be doing what we have to do to reform that payment system with PTSC so that you are paid consistently, efficiently, and on time. You heard the Prime Minister Stuart Young's Senior Counsel speak about efficiency and service, and that's a big part of how we want to take our school transportation forward. I want to speak very quickly about our teachers. Our teachers' salary, acting allowances, increments, pensions. Teachers, we know that the situation now is not ideal. We know it has not been so for some time. But what will improve that is the digitization we have begun. We have 13,000 teachers, 20,000 staff at the Ministry of Education, and we have begun to digitize all those records, because that is how we can make your payments more efficient and effective. And when we speak about education transformation, we can make however much plans we want. It is our teachers to carry them out in the schools. And if our teachers are frustrated, if our teachers are demotivated, then with the best plans, they will come to nothing. Teachers, we salute you. The PNM understands the pain that you have been going through, and we will complete that digitization to make your life easier. I want to speak to the reliability, the consistency of payments to our substitute teachers, our special initiatives, the school grants. We understand that when the grants come late, it causes problems planning in the school. And this is one of the things that we have discussed as we move forward, how we regularize this for our schools, because we know it causes problems. And the Honorable Prime Minister has already gotten that. We met with the denominational boards first. So he knows the problem there, and we are going to find ways to deal with that. And it can be done. Because when the Ministry of Education was tasked with paying back pay to our teachers and so on, in 2 months, we were able to pay more than 12,000 persons. So we know the ministry can be efficient, and we are going to make those systems better. I want to talk about those who are looking for jobs in the teaching service, hiring of teachers, appointment of teachers, school supervisors, curriculum officers, curriculum coordinators, deans, heads of department, vice principals, and principals. We know that the system by which this is done right now is not optimal. And I'll tell you how this affects us. If our teachers are demotivated, they don't want to teach, they feel as if they are unimportant, we have problems in the schools. If our principals feel like they're in Hollywood and they're only acting, if our vice principals, our heads of department, we can't be Hollywood in the Ministry of Education, because we rely on these people to run our schools. Our deans are the ones who look at the behavior of our students. If a dean is demotivated because they're only acting, they ain't taking on the bad things the children doing because they're tired, they're frustrated. We are going to move to make sure that these appointments are done better. It will take legislative change. We will look at it, and we'll look at the immediate ways we can change this. I want to speak about student support services, because there is a parenting crisis in Trinidad and Tobago. And where parents are falling down, the Ministry of Education must stand up. Where parents are falling down, the Ministry of Education must stand up in defense of our children, in defense of Trinidad and Tobago. Because if our children are not performing, then the future of this country is at risk. And so we, during 2022 to 25, we have hired over 250 new officers for student support services. But we need more. We need more teachers' aides. We need more psychologists. We need more behavioral specialists. These are the people who interact with your children intimately and help them in the schools. We need help for our students. We need the best level of education for our children. And we are going to hire more of them. We already discussed it at the cabinet level. But it will cost money. But what is our mantra? If we don't spend money in the schools, we will spend it in the jail. And we're not going down that road. So it will cost. But we will spend it to ensure that our children are well seen about. That is the PNM for you. We have spoken about our students with special needs. We need more teacher aides for them. We have 68 positions in the ministry. What did we do now to help that? We partnered with OJT, and we hired over 300 more OJTs to help us there. But we still need hundreds more. So to help us, especially with our children who have special needs, we are going to ensure that we expand that service of the teacher aides for our children. So parents who have been waiting and waiting, we understand the frustration and the pain, because sometimes our children need those aides to be able to attend school. And if they're not attending school, they don't have a ticket. And if they don't have a ticket, they don't have a chance. And we don't want that for our children. We are speaking about the bread and butter issues of education, the brass tacks of education, nothing highfalutin, things that you know need to change, things that you know need to fix. And I'll tell you this, if we don't fix it on the bottom, no matter what you add to the top, it will not change. We need to fix the fundamentals of the education system, and only then will we be able to deal with higher level problems. We need more motivated teachers and principals. We need an improved school environment, the school building, the way it looks. We need a better school climate. We want children who enjoy going to school, who are not exposed to bullying. We need more affordable education. Even though we have 500 bursaries and scholarships, we have free CSEC and CAVE subjects. Did you see that this week Guyana now reached where we have been for years? They now reach, but we have been doing that for years. We give a free second chance at CSEC subjects and all. We give 20,000. Let's stand and welcome our Honorable Prime Minister.
Always checking for me. Don't let up at all. Let's answer when
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of the Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, Stuart Richard Young, SC, your current Prime Minister, your future Prime Minister.
He's strong with real power. The best in Trinidad. Tell them
welcome him to the Croisee.
A man with energy, always checking for me.
Welcome him with a PNM welcome. Show your love. Show your gratitude. Show your support for Stuart Richard Young, SC, Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Prime Minister today, Prime Minister tomorrow, Prime Minister next week, Prime Minister on April the 28th, and Prime Minister on April the 29th.
Don't let up at all. Let's answer when we call. With here, Kagoro, he always vibrant and is strong.
Let's hear a PNM welcome for the Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, the 8th Prime Minister, Stuart Richard Young, SC.
Economy will grow, negativity will go, better days for Trinbago.
Send a message to the UNC. Send a loud, clear message that we are here and we ain't going nowhere.
A man with energy, always check.
The crowd is so thick he can't make his way through.
Let's answer when we go. With here, Kagoro, he always vibrant and is strong, energetic and he young,
Let's come together and support our leader,
so things could get better.
He is on his way. He is making his way through the crowd. This massive crowd at the Croisee.
In TNT, we love him.
You are here in your thousands. The Croisee is back. The promenade is back. The Eastern Main Road is back. The bus route is back.
Let's answer when we call. With here, Kagoro, he always vibrant and is strong, energetic and he young, When I hear it, I did believe it.
He is getting closer. He is getting closer.
We have a new leader. He's strong.
I can start to see him amongst the throngs of people. Welcome to the Croisee, Prime Minister. Welcome to the constituency of RUNG West St. Joseph, Honorable Prime Minister. We can feel the love for our Prime Minister. Give him a Croisee round of applause, a PNM round of applause, a red round of applause, a responsible round of applause. Welcome welcome, welcome Stuart Richard Young, Prime Minister, 8th Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. This crowd does not want to let our Prime Minister go. Right.
Prime Minister, welcome to the Croisee. Let's give our Prime Minister a Croisee welcome. Welcome, Prime Minister, to where St. Anne's East, St. Joseph, Barataria, San Juan meets. The Croisee is love. Tell our Prime Minister, the Croisee is love. The Croisee is love. Prime Minister, we were just telling the story of how education transformation takes place in this country, and timekeeper, I need injury time right now. We had to pause for a good cause to welcome our Prime Minister. And we were wrapping up speaking about what is necessary for education transformation, the foundational issues which we understand because we are the PNM that cares. We are the PNM that takes the time to understand it. We need more motivated teachers and principals, middle management staff, heads of departments, deans. We need to improve our school environment, the building, the painting, how children feel when they walk there, because our children need to understand that we care about them and we care about their schools. We need a better school climate. Our children must not go to school and be afraid of violence, of bullying. They must love their school and they must want to contribute to their school. We need more affordable education because even though we do a lot, we do bursaries and scholarships, 500 bursaries and 100 scholarships from CAPE every year. We have free CSEC and CAPE subjects. Prime Minister, we were just saying that where Guyana has come, we have been for many, many years in Trinidad and Tobago. That is the PNM policy. Give the People's National Movement a round of applause. We give a free first chance at CSEC. We give a free second chance at CSEC. We feed our children. We spend more than $250 million every single year to feed our children in schools. We gave out 20,000 book grants, Prime Minister. I told them that we're looking at what we could do for this year. Looking to see if we could give some more. Prime Minister will speak to that. You want that? Prime Minister, you hear them and not me. We are transporting our students, over 6,000 students being transported. We give laptops to the most vulnerable, over 80,000 laptops and devices distributed between 2020 and now. So when you hear the UNC talk foolishness about we ain't give no laptop, tell them stop it. Stop the lies. Because the PNM knows and cares about our people. And we didn't only give to the Form 1. We gave to all of our students, and we will continue to give. We need more support for our students and parents, and that's why we will increase the staffing as we have done already since 2022 in the student support services. We need more inclusive education for our children with special needs, and that is why we are looking at the number of student aides that we have and looking to increase that as we move along. We need better resource schools. Yes, our school grants need to come on time. We understand that. We know our schools are using the funds wisely, but they want it on a consistent basis. We need robust school curriculum and behavior management. That is where the staffing comes in. Our school supervisors, our deans, our heads of department. When you go to the district office, you need to be able to meet a school supervisor there. We need to have our full complement of school supervisors and staff in our schools to manage our schools properly. We need greater efficiency and productivity through continued digitization. The ministry has started, and we must complete this so our schools can run properly. And we need increased monitoring, resources, support, training for our primary schools that need help, and that's both our denominational and government primary schools. And at the secondary level, we have a special need for our government secondary schools. Most of our children go to government secondary schools. So we cannot close our eyes to the problems in the government secondary school and just look to the success in the denominational schools. We have to bring equity to our government secondary schools. And it is only when these fundamental, foundational issues are addressed that we can build on that with higher level policy. If we don't deal with the bottom, we cannot build on the top. You know that. And that is what we are moving to do in the Ministry of Education. Because if education is in crisis, Trinidad and Tobago is in crisis. But thank God for the PNM. Thank God for the PNM, who has always believed in education of our children. The PNM understands. Our former Prime Minister put 2 mothers here, and God rest the soul of Lisa Morris Julian, because she was my sister in service as we understood the needs of our education sector, because our children are there and we understand what was required, and we know we had the will to do what was necessary. We have been doing the work in the trenches for the education system. And therefore, if we do not do what we have to do on April 28th, remember, elections have consequences. All the UNC cared about was contracts. They didn't even care if the school and they gave the contract for finish. All they cared about was giving the contracts. But I have stood up here before you after 5 hard, long years in the education system, and I have pointed out to you tonight actionable things that we know we have been working on and things that we will do, because we understand that you want your children to be educated. You know that the future of this country is in your children, what? School bags. And you know that if you do not choose the PNM, the care, the concern for our children in the urban areas, in the PNM strongholds, that will not be there. Because you see, some people might want your children to stay poor and uneducated. Some people might celebrate when they see our children doing the wrong things, and they share those videos, and they're happy to see that our children are doing the wrong things. But let me tell you this, the PNM is not that. The PNM has declared that our children will be the head and not the tail. The PNM has declared our children will be the head and not the tail, because we will spend the money in the schools, not in the jail. We will spend the money in the schools, not in the jail. We want the best for our children. The PNM will protect your children's future. The PNM will protect my children's future. We are the head, not the tail. We will spend the money in the schools and not the jail. Great is the PNM. Great is the PNM. Great is the PNM, and we will prevail. On April the 20th, put your ex by the Balize. Barataria San Juan, vote for UNAS. Bring the PNM back to government. Great is the PNM, and we will prevail.
She feel the pain, working hard through sun and rain. With Dolly's heart and Dolly's drive, St. East will truly try. Dolly, we're moving with you. St.
formal good evening and welcome to our Prime Minister, the 8th Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, the Honorable Stuart Richard Young, SC. Sir, welcome to the Anthony Roberts Promenade. The Anthony Roberts Promenade. Now that the Honorable Prime Minister is here, now is a good time to welcome all party officers, deputy political leaders, cabinet members. I see the chairman of the San Juan-Laventil Regional Corporation, Chairman Richard Walcott. I see candidate MP Ford. I see Mr. Fitzgerald Hines somewhere, my brother. The candidate for St. Augustine, yes, Ranuka Sakram Singh Suklal. The mayor of Ariba, His Worship, Mayor Baliram Maraj. If I have forgotten anybody else, forgive me, but the lights are so bright. You know why the lights are bright? Because the future of this country is bright under the PNM. I want to recognize the matriarch of the PNM, Joan Yule Williams, and in absentia, the political leader of the PNM, Dr. the Honorable Keith Christopher Rowley. You know, very often the MC says the next person needs no introduction. But this person needs an introduction. You may know her as Camille. You may know her as my leader of the house. You may know her as the person I deputize for from time to time. You may know her as my mentor. But did you know she was once the Minister of Consumer Affairs in the 5th Republican Parliament? Did you know she served in the 6th Republican Parliament? Did you know she served in the 7th Republican Parliament as the Minister of Legal Affairs and the MP for Moruga South? Did you know she served in the 8th Republican Parliament as the Minister of Planning and Development? Did you know she was in the 10th Republican Parliament as an opposition senator? Did you know she served in the 11th Republican Parliament? Do you know right now she is the Honorable Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs? I welcome to the podium the Leader of the House. I welcome to the podium my friend. I welcome to the podium my colleague. I welcome to the podium your MP. I welcome to the PNM the chairperson of the Women's League, the strength and backbone of the PNM. I welcome to the PNM at the Anthony Roberts Promenade the Honorable Camille Robinson Regis.
My friend, I in a good spirit. I drink in a good spirits. The vibes right up to the limits. So don't want me down, don't fight me down. Yeah. Good spirit. I drink in a good spirits. The vibes ain't cars in a minute. So don't hold me down, don't fight me down. Yeah. My friend and them couldn't tell you about me. Good people, it's good people. We only want love and we so good. Yeah. My family couldn't tell you about me. Good people, it's good
We do have.
we only want love. Well, every man make
Wanted to confuse, sorry, sir. And we do have plans and programs. I can't give you details right now, but we do have plans. Look, we do have.
I just want to know what is the projected lead time for something like this to happen.
Wonderful question. But you really think we have the time to give you all those details?
Yeah.
U.S. money is very easy to get in Babylon.
Well, all right, let's get one at a time.
The system.
Programs, I can't remember every single one of them just off the top of my head. We had the mosque, we had. You want to remind me, Dave, of some of those programs under Mr. Karim's ministry? But there were several, and we'll talk it on another day. We start to get the doctors to go to homes to visit the elderly, blah, 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 blah. We have the plans, blah, 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 blah.
Today I announced that Barry Padarat will be the UNC candidate for Couva
No. Give them a round of applause. In this place, I found someone from your own community. From your own. Where's that, Barry?
Cuba South.
You're going Cuba South? You see? We stayed in 3 a.m., my brain is filled. Give him a round of applause as the incoming MP. The United National Congress nominates Barry Paderak to be the new Member of Parliament for Cuba South. Give him a round of applause.
When Dr. Rowley announced this in 2023, I was at that press conference, and the first thing he said was, it's realistic. It's looking like Donald Trump may come back. He doesn't have the same relationship. From then, I would have assumed there would have been a plan B, C, D. Walk us through now. I mean, I know you said there the negotiation, but I'm sure you, before this came up, you had a plan B or a plan C. What can you tell us about that?
Kijan, plan B and plan C and plan D already in play. Plan A, but I just did. This is all about gas production. This is all about the production of gas and getting gas to plants at Point Lisas and LNG plant and methanol plant down in Point 14. So you're seeing plan B, plan C, and plan D taking place. You're seeing the continued production by BP, by Shell, by Perenco, by EOG, just like I told you about Woodside and BP up with deepwater gas.
Election is about selecting a leader for Trinidad and Tobago. This election is about selecting the right person to lead this country. This election is not an election for us to play with. This is serious business. It is about deciding who is best to lead this country. And if what we saw a short while ago is any indication of the two leaders, I ask you tonight, who are you voting for? Stuart Young to lead this country as our next Prime Minister. The choice is between someone who will tell you what you think you want to hear and someone who will tell you the truth. The truth about themselves, the truth about their party, and the truth about Trinidad and Tobago. The choice is between a party that has built a solid foundation, contesting every seat, local or general, since 1956, or a party that can only find 34 candidates in Trinidad and none in Tobago. I want to ask you tonight, and I begin with two simple letters. Stuart Richard Young, SC, or Kamla S. Prasad Bisesa, SC. I want to ask you tonight, we know that our Stuarty earned his elevation to the inner bar by dint of hard work, his legal brilliance. We have seen him in action. But what of Kamla Prasad Bisesa? She was the leader of the cabinet and therefore one of the persons charged with the responsibility of conferring the title of senior counsel. Kamla, with the assistance of her then Attorney General Anand Ramlogan, was judge and jury in her own cause, and she deemed herself worthy to be called SC? Is Kamla Prasad Bisesa worthy, ladies and gentlemen? PNM family, when we look at the composition of the teams that surround Prime Minister Stuart Young, an opposition leader for life, I repeat, opposition leader for life, Kamla Prasad Bisesa, you cannot help but ask the question, which team is better poised to take Trinidad and Tobago through the next 5 years? When you look at us, we are red, we are ready, and we are responsible. When Kamla looks to her left, she sees Philip Alexander, who not so long ago referred to her, and I quote, as a canal conch. When she looks to her right, she sees Ansel Roger, who dragged an effigy of her through the streets, calling her all manner of names in the process. When she looks in front, she sees Anil Roberts of Live Sport and Loeb's fame. When she looks behind, she sees Rudal Munilal, who sat like a mapipi, just waiting for her to fall. And ladies and gentlemen, somebody told me today that if you look a little way down the road, you will see somebody from the port who some U.S. Marshals looking for. I want the good people of San Juan Barataria to ask yourselves, whom do you want to govern Trinidad and Tobago? If, God forbid, Kamla is Prime Minister and a can fall on her foot again, so she cannot continue to act as Prime Minister, can you imagine Barry Padarat as your next Prime Minister? Can you see Rudal Munilal as your next Prime Minister? Can you see Khadija Amin? She herself can't even trust them. But I want to tell you tonight, no seat is safe for Kamla because the PNM in the skin everywhere. We in the skin in Tabaquite, we in the skin in Couva North, we in the skin in Claxton Bay, we in the skin in Chaguanas East, Kamuto Manzanilla, Moruga Tableland, Mayaro. We coming for them because we ready, and we responsible. And ladies and gentlemen,
Stems.
Ladies and
yes, I can hear them saying, boys,
please
stop
stand
living in the past.
as we welcome
Where can I find
to the
that
Anthony
energy,
Roberts Promenade
that comes
in
down
San
from the
Juan.
grassroots?
Please stand as we welcome the political leader of People's National Movement, Dr. the Honorable Keith Christopher Rowley. Please give him a welcome that he will never forget. Please give him a welcome that will send shivers up the spines of the UNC and Kamla Prasad Bisesa. Please welcome a man of grit. Please welcome a man of principle. Please welcome a man who led us to 2 consecutive general election victories. Please welcome a statesman not only of Trinidad and Tobago, but a CARICOM statesman. A man for all seasons. A man in whom we are well proud. He is here. He is with us. We welcome you, Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley.
Shaking like an earthquake, but everyone was fine. It was when hot girl wine. We used to see the downtown massive and the uptown massive with no fences to separate. And it was like a rite of passage when your clothes get damaged, just you start fetting by the gate. Then time did the ground. We used to carry it. We used to carry it up and down. We did carry it. We used to carry it when the flag. We did carry it. We used to carry it when the
Ladies and gentlemen, how could anyone trust Kamla Persad-Bissessar and her team? And I want to tell them tonight, big jackass, small jackass, same lasso. We coming for them. We coming for them. We coming for them. And you know why we coming for them? Because they bad talk Trinidad and Tobago at any turn they get. They bad talk this country with the United States over Venezuela. They rush to support Juan Guaido as the president of Venezuela. Now Guaido is like Zambo, nowhere to be found. They wrote to the U.S. demanding sanctions against former Prime Minister Rowley and Minister Stuart Young. They were rejoicing and gloating at the prospects of the new president of the USA imposing sanctions on individuals and countries. But we need to ask Kamla some questions. What would she have done with the gas fields that belong to Trinidad and Tobago that straddle the Venezuelan border? Would she simply have left those fields untouched and unexplored? And if she decided to explore them, with whom would she have negotiated? I ask you tonight, and we ask the question, Kamla, you are promising heaven and earth, but we ask you from this platform, how you paying for that? Reopening the Petrotrain refinery, how you paying for that? Reducing gas at the pumps, how you paying for that? Starting public service wage negotiations at 10%. How you paying for that? Repealing the Revenue Authority Act and abolishing property tax. How are you going to pay for that? We know that she has no clue about how that would be dealt with. We know that she would soon take us to the IMF. Not once on the platform has the opposition leader indicated one revenue-generating idea to balance the 1,000,001 promises she is making to the electorate. The evidence, ladies and gentlemen, is there for all to see. Former Prime Minister Patrick Manning warned us in 2010 that Kamla was unfit for office. Our next Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Rowley, told us in 2015 and 2020 that the lady just wasn't ready. Our current Prime Minister, the Honorable Stuart Young, SC, has also warned us that she is still not ready. She was unfit in 2010, she was unfit in 2015, she was unfit in 2020, and in 2025, she continues to be unfit. If there's one person who has distinguished themselves as being singularly unfit for the office of Prime Minister, it is Kamla Persad-Bissessar. Look at the people that she keeps around her. A veritable rogues gallery. Police looking for half of them, and the other half hanging on to her handbag. Munilal have plenty court case to answer. Padarat still can't answer how all that money ended up in his bank account. Philip Alexander owing Column millions of dollars. Ansel Roger living in a house paid for by the OWTU, driving a car paid for by the OWTU, and he receives a salary more than the Prime Minister. The Morris boy in Mayaro, he is the one who started the whole fake papers nonsense. Khadija still trying to find Zambo. Wayne Sturge still wearing his Superman jockey shorts. Ladies and gentlemen, I ask you, contemplate the decision you have to make on April 28th. I want to remind public officers that during COVID-19, when the private sector employers were laying off staff or having them use their vacation leave, not a single gazetted public officer was laid off or forced to utilize their vacation leave entitlement. I want to remind our senior citizens who are in receipt of the Senior Citizens Grant or NIS pensions, those persons in receipt of public assistance, and those in receipt of disability grants, that not once during or after the pandemic did they ever receive their grants late. And I want to tell Vincent Benjamin, the man on that ad about pensions, yes, you, Vincent Benjamin, you saying that PNM gave you $1,000 and we raised it to $2,000 and then we raised it again to over $3,000. So Vincent Benjamin, don't come and talk nonsense to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Tonight, I want you to give Stuart Young the opportunity to complete the work that we have begun. And I also want you to give Kamla the opportunity to enjoy her retirement. Ladies and gentlemen, the book of Jeremiah, chapter 29, verses 11 to 14 says, I know the plans I have for you, plans for peace, plans for prosperity, and a future filled with hope. Tonight, we in the PNM adopt the words of the prophet Jeremiah, because we too know the plans we have for this country. Plans for peace, plans for prosperity, and a future filled with hope. I therefore ask you not to be fooled by fancy promises wrapped in deception. Don't be seduced by smooth talk and short memories. Look at the record. Look at the facts. It is the People's National Movement that has held firm in the storms, delivered in crises, and led with heart, vision, and strength. On April 28th, vote for real leadership. Vote for stability. Vote for nation building. Vote for responsibility. Vote in Barataria San Juan for Dr. Mohammed Yunus Ibrahim. Vote in Arangwes St. Joseph for Terence Dial Singh. Vote in St. Anne's East for Nian Gadsby Dolly. Vote in Tunapuna for Esmond Ford. Vote in Trin-City Maloney. Where you are going to seal the deal with Camille. Vote in Port of Spain North, St. Anne's East. I'm just making sure you're all awake. Vote in Port of Spain North, St. Anne's West for Stuart Richard Young SC. Vote in Port of Spain North, St. Anne's West for Stuart Richard Young SC. And when the ballots are counted and the people have spoken, we will raise our voices together and declare with pride that great is the PNM, great is the PNM, great is the PNM. We shall prevail because we are all in for Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you. God bless you.
Camille party. So come on, man. Make some noise for Camille. Seal the deal with Camille. Seal the deal with Camille. When I say vote, you say Camille. Vote. 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 Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, heavy is the head that wears the crown. Our next speaker is the 8th Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. And he carries the additional portfolio, and may I say burden, of being the Minister of Energy and Energy Industries. In addition, he fulfills his duty as a Member of Parliament for Port of Spain, St. Anne's West, with grace, with dignity, with compassion, and with caring. The next speaker is a graduate of St. Mary's College. He attained his Bachelor of Laws at the University of Nottingham and admitted to the bar in Trinidad and Tobago, England and Wales, the Commonwealth of Dominica, and Antigua and Barbuda. But ladies and gentlemen, I want to give a personal endorsement of the next speaker, because the next speaker and myself, led by the then Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Rowley, we were Dr. Rowley's lieutenants. He was the general. And the next speaker and myself, we were forged in the fires of COVID. I worked with then Minister Stuart Young, who was the Minister of National Security, for those fires for 2 years. 2 long, hard years, your next speaker, as Minister of National Security worked. 2 long, hard years where he took hard decisions. Because Anthony Roberts' promenade, if we just keep quiet for 1 minute to speak, leadership is not about being popular. Leadership is about taking hard decisions. And the next speaker took hard decisions. Probably saved my life, your life, and the life of your children. Leadership is not about being popular and being liked. It's about being true to your country. It's about fighting tooth and nail for your country. I trust the next speaker to fight, and fight again for Trinidad and Tobago in these difficult times. The next speaker is accustomed to meeting with prime ministers. The next speaker is accustomed to negotiating with presidents. The next speaker is accustomed to dealing with the chairman of some of the most powerful and largest multinational countries in the world. Anthony Roberts Promenade, Trinidad and Tobago, PNM people, whom do you love? We love Stuart Richard Young, SC. Whom do you trust? We trust Stuart Richard Young, SC. Whom do you want to be the next Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago? We want Stuart Richard Young, SC. Welcome, 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 Prime Minister Richard Stuart Young, SC.
Stuarty, 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 Stuarty,
Stuarty, a man with energy, always checking for me. Don't let up at all, let's answer when we call.
Stuarty, with ear that go wrong, he always vibrant and is strong, energetic and he young, he young, he young. Stuarty,
when I hear it, I didn't believe it. I went and checked it. They say he runs it.
Croisee, let me hear you all. To our political leader, Dr. Keith Rowley, our deputy political leaders, Rohan Sinanan, Nian Gatsby Dolly, to all other executive officers of the People's National Movement, to our Lady Vice Chair, also our Attorney General, to all of our winning candidates who are getting ready to declare victory on the 28th of April. Welcome to the Croisee in the heart of Sawa. Good night, good night, good night. Tonight, I would like the opportunity to speak to the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago from right here in the Croisee, along with Mr. Anthony Roberts, whose promenade and plaza they say this is. Citizens, I have been listening very carefully for a number of years, and in particular over the last few weeks. And I have been listening to what people are saying, and in particular, what our citizens who care about Trinidad and Tobago are saying. I have heard from many that we have concerns about what is going on. I have heard from many who have concerns about how we are going to manage as the world around us changes on a daily basis. And what I have come here to tell you tonight is on the 28th of April, citizens of Trinidad and Tobago have an opportunity. And it is an opportunity that the People's National Movement has given us. Because the opportunity is an opportunity for change. But the opportunity is not fresh change. It is change that comes with a strong team. It is change that comes with a young, vibrant, energetic, intelligent team. And it is change that comes on a team built on a strong platform that has guided Trinidad and Tobago over the last 10 years. And this is what the People's National Movement is offering Trinidad and Tobago on the 28th of April. Now, by now, most people should know that I have real difficulties with when I hear people lying, when I hear people being dishonest, and most importantly, when I see and hear people who are trying to destroy our Trinidad and Tobago. So tonight, I am asking all citizens who care about Trinidad and Tobago, all citizens who want to build a stronger and more resilient Trinidad and Tobago, all citizens who are prepared to do what is right for Trinidad and Tobago and the future generations, in particular our children, to join with the People's National Movement, to join with this team, to join with me as we write the next chapter for Trinidad and Tobago. Allow me to start off tonight where I left off last night, because last night I addressed the issue and the difficult issue of crime. Crime is an issue that bothers all of us in Trinidad and Tobago who are law-abiding citizens. And I told you at the start what is going on right now with the use of social media by those on the other side. And I warned Trinidad and Tobago because it was upsetting to me as someone who cares about Trinidad and Tobago. I told you a story about a staunch young supporter who has stood at my side for the last 10 years in Port of Spain, North St. Anne's West, who lives on the hills in East Port of Spain, and that a paid UNC activist supporting the UNC candidate going up against me in my constituency followed that young man and his wife, who was dressed in his PNM garb, after supporting us at a meeting, walking back up the hill of Quarry Street with his wife, and to see a paid UNC supporter attack him and his wife, and it is irrefutable that that was a paid UNC supporter. I told you, Trinidad and Tobago, that is crime and criminality. You remember last night, I drew to your attention that the UNC was paying people to dress and talk about yellow is the code. And I warned Trinidad and Tobago that there was a young man on social media in a UNC shirt talking about how he bought 1,000 tie wraps to tie up the hands and the feet of PNM people so they cannot vote on the 28th. You all remember that story? How many of you all saw that video? Well, I could tell you tonight that the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service have arrested that UNC paid supporter for exactly what he was threatening to do. I am warning us here in Trinidad and Tobago, do not let Cambridge Analytica 2.0 take root in Trinidad and Tobago, because what is insulting, what I find offensive as a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago and a person who cares about Trinidad and Tobago, is the way that they are going about trying to mislead this population. They are recruiting our young black men and our young black girls, paying them $40,000 and putting them there in yellow is the code to attack PNM. And I am wondering, why is it that they are using racism as usual as part of their campaign? So I stand here tonight and I ask all of us who care about Trinidad and Tobago, all of us who are concerned about how they treat us in Trinidad and Tobago, to reject the UNC on the 28th of April and to vote the People's National Movement. Another scheme that they are trying to pull on us in Trinidad and Tobago is this. I have heard the UNC saying that they will pay public servants 10 to 14% back pay. I have heard our newly minted Minister of Finance, who has spent decades in the Ministry of Finance, say that that is impossible because the money isn't there. I have heard the UNC unable to say where the money will come from. But there is something worse taking place because they are fooling public servants. And tonight I want to speak to public servants in Trinidad and Tobago from right here in the Croisee. They are telling public servants in Trinidad and in Tobago. When I was walking in Tobago last week, public servants were asking me why the government has not made an offer to increase salaries. The UNC starting offer is 10%, which will cost us over $6 billion in back pay. And it will cost over $1 billion a year. So that's $7 billion with no revenue. They have offered to go up to 14%, which is $8.5 billion in back pay and $1.5 billion in revenue. $10 billion that we cannot afford. Well, I want to tell the public servants of Trinidad and Tobago today, the policemen, the fire service, the teachers, and all of the public servants, that the government, this government, has offered you, and I confirmed it on my way here this evening. You have been offered 5%. 5% at 1%, 1%, and 3% for that period that they're talking about. And for the population to understand this, that is the maximum, unfortunately, because let me ask you this. You think if a PNM government and this government could pay 10% and not bankrupt the country, we wouldn't do it? We would do it in the morning. But we have to be responsible. We have to make sure there's a future for our children. And I stand here tonight and say that our public servants who are being misled, you have been offered 5%, which is $3.4 billion in back pay. And it will mean $930 million a year in additional funds. But that is what the government has offered to you. I am asking you, do not be misled by snake oil salesmen. Do not be misled by people who will promise you the world and not be able to deliver it. You have the ability to accept what has been offered by the CPO, and as soon as they can afford more as we go forward, we will. I am warning Trinidad and Tobago, we have to be very careful about what we're told. So tonight, don't be fooled. Tonight, understand you have a government that cares about you. You have a government that is finding responsible ways to offer you more and to do more for more citizens. And that leads me to my second point. Because I understand, along with the cabinet, that when our citizens go to get disability grants, when our citizens go to get housing grants, to get self-help, to get access to your pensions, that unfortunately there are difficulties that you face. And I am telling you here tonight, it is unacceptable to be told after you come this week and you go back next week, your file is lost. And to be told, as I heard a young woman say today, that she had been applying for a grant, contacted the office, and all they say is, you didn't get through, you're rejected, but not tell her why. Because sometimes as a member of parliament, when we inquire for our constituents, we are told, well, they didn't bring this document, or they didn't bring that document. A PNM government elected on the 28th of April is going to prioritize and push not only the customer service that you get at every single government office, but also what we have begun doing, the digitization. So you will make sure when you go, you file there. So when you go to get your pension, we are putting in place a system because everybody knows the date that they become eligible for their pension. Everybody knows the date of their birthday and when they will qualify for a pension. We are going to prioritize that you get your pension with minimum interaction at the office because it will all be computerized. But we're also going to demand that people are treated properly and that you get proper customer service at all of our government institutions. And as I told you a few weeks ago, in return, we must respect public servants and we must also be respectful to them, because when everyone treats everyone properly, immediately it will get better. So I stand here tonight and tell you as well, we have looked, for example, at the means test for things like food cards and grants and families that live, and without these opportunities to get that help from the government, they would be in serious difficulty. And we have heard the stories that unfortunately when you get a few days work, they take you off of the system. Or unfortunately, if somebody else in the household is working hard to help, but they still have other people that they're helping in the household, they take you automatically off of the system. So when the other night you heard us say that we're increasing the food cards from 13,300 to 26,600, doubling it. In addition to that, we are revising the means test to allow the persons that I've just spoken about to get access, so more people will have access and not be frustrated by the system. Tonight, I am not spending too much time talking because I need to save my voice. But also tonight, we have a very special speaker, a political leader, who I want to address us with the maximum amount of time. So citizens, as the team continues to address you all in the coming days, listen very carefully. And I give you the assurance, and you can judge by our track record, and you can judge me personally by my track record, that we will continue to fight hard and to fight clean and to fight for what is right for Trinidad and Tobago. And I will do that on your behalf and all of those children who we are bringing into this world. And you heard your Minister of Education tonight talk about book grants, yes? And you heard us say a few days ago that we're taking VAT off of all school books and all school uniforms, yes? Tonight, your Minister of Education touched on book grants and said we're currently giving out 20,000 book grants every academic year. Well, I can tell you that your next Member of Parliament for St. Anne's East, the Honorable Nian Gatsby-Dolly, has advocated long and hard on behalf of all of the families who have children going to school and all of the children going to school. And we have looked at the figures, and responsibly tonight, I can tell you on behalf of the next PNM Cabinet of Trinidad and Tobago that we are going to increase the book grant allowances to 30,000 of our meaningful citizens, an increase of 10,000. So citizens, be assured that you have a government that does care about you. Because caring for our citizens does not mean selling you what cannot be sold. Caring for your citizens does not mean collapse the country and promise what cannot be afforded. I told you last night that the price of oil had dropped to $63 a barrel from the 75 we predicted. That means there's a drop in our revenue. But the PNM government has put things in place where we have earned more revenue for our gas. And I repeat it here tonight, you have seen a government in the last 9.5 years work hard and tirelessly to ensure that we build our revenue. And we have done so. But I am warning you that all that they promise is impossible to achieve. So do not be fooled. And public servants, take what I have told you tonight, because I recognize that some of the irresponsible leaders are not telling you what you have been offered by the government through the CPO, the Chief Personnel Officer. So rest assured that this government, this bright, energetic team, this bright, energetic team of persons with experience, this bright, energetic PNM team that has the intelligence and has the leaders to take us forward. With me as your Prime Minister, I ask you, all of the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago who want to join us to build a brighter future for our children and to write the new chapter for Trinidad and Tobago, to join us. And on the 28th of April, in a few weeks' time, to go into your polling station and to go into the booth and to confidently put your X next to the Balizé. And on the night of the 28th of April, to join the team and join the PNM and join me as we say, great is the PNM, great is the PNM, great is the PNM, and we have prevailed. I thank you.
A man with energy, always checking for me. Don't let up at all, let's answer when we call.
With ear Gagoro, he always vibrant and is strong, energetic and he young, he young, he young,
How can Kamla Prasad Bisesa compare to the last speaker? The last speaker gave you a masterclass in political oratory. Let's hear it. That is the man we must elect on Monday, August the 28th. I have the unqualified pleasure of introducing at this time the political leader of the People's National Movement, Dr. the Honorable Keith Christopher Rowley, as you stand and give him a welcome that he deserves for his stewardship over the last 10 years. You, sir, have served us well. You served during a pandemic. And as you mount the podium, I quote Matthew 20:26, "Yet shall it be so among you, but whoever desires to become great among you, let him be your servant." The next speaker is great. The next speaker is your servant. You, Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, are truly a great man and a great servant to Trinidad and Tobago. May God bless you. May God bless your wife, your children, and your grandchildren. Anthony Robert Promenade, welcome the political leader of the greatest political party in this part of the world, the greatest party, the People's National Movement. Welcome, Dr. the Honorable Keith Christopher Rowley.
Somebody touch me, somebody touch me, somebody touch my soul. Somebody pray to me, Jesus, somebody touch my soul. Somebody touch me, somebody touch me, somebody touch my soul. Who, me? While I was praying, pray to me, Jesus, somebody touch my soul.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. A very good night to the chairman and officers of the People's National Movement, members of council, and most importantly, the PNM standard bearers all, who at this stage in an election campaign are out here with the people of Trinidad and Tobago. I would like to begin by asking you to understand that I have a little voice problem, but I'm a lot better now than I was a week ago when I could hardly have said a word. I don't blame anybody for that except whatever bug was going around. But ladies and gentlemen, I have come here tonight to join the election campaign of 2025. And I do so as a former Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. It's a very unusual development in this nation because I'm not really aware of a situation where any former Prime Minister could have come out or did come out and join his party's team in government seeking to advance their cause to an electorate in this nation. But I'm here in my capacity not as a member of the government because, as you know, as I indicated 5 years ago, at the end of this term, I would not be leading you into election night. And on the 17th of March 2025, you did have appointed in this country a new Prime Minister. And therefore, my perspective tonight is to do two things. One is to talk very seriously with two groups of people in this nation. The first group I want to talk to is a group of people who call themselves public servants. And the second group I want to talk to are the young people of Trinidad and Tobago, many of whom would be voting for the first time, or in some instances, the second or third time. I address you as an individual who had the responsibility of first knowing your circumstance, and secondly, treating with it to give you the best of what is available to you. Everybody in this country by now should know that we do not have all the resources that are necessary to give you everything that you need. And therefore, suppose you ask me, what did you do as Prime Minister to treat with the situations in Trinidad and Tobago where there were issues that required the attention of the government? Well, as I resigned from the office of Prime Minister and people started talking about my stewardship and the administrations that I led, I take note of the fact that the vast majority of persons, excuse me, the vast majority of persons spoke positively of the role of the government and my own involvement as leader in treating with the COVID pandemic. Meaning that at the time when the country was in a pandemic and lives were being lost, and lives were about to be lost, and serious numbers of lives could have been lost, the reference to COVID-19 and its handling is a reference to how the government intervened, defended and protected the population to save lives and to save and defend the economy of Trinidad and Tobago. Because it wasn't simply a matter of surviving COVID as an individual staying alive. It was also about ensuring that when we lifted all the restrictions, that you had jobs to go back to, that you had companies that were still able to open their doors and offer jobs, that you had opportunities to be supported by an economy which had not collapsed. Would you believe that while the PNM is one arm of the political institutional arrangement in this country, that other people in the political arena saw opportunity for political advancement of themselves, and rather than stand with the country against a virus that eventually killed over 4,000 of us here, killed 1.5 million in the United States, and many millions around the world. We have citizens here in the political arena who could not see it fit in that situation to stand with the government of the country to fight the COVID pandemic. They saw political opportunity. And I could report to you tonight as a former Prime Minister that the number of times the government, its doctors, its nurses, its professionals had to turn away from their medical service and caregiving to do affidavits and to appear in court to defend themselves. $15 million in legal fees to hire lawyers to go to court to defend our health caregivers. Our political opponents went as far as the Privy Council to seek to score political points against the government for the handling of the lives and livelihoods of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And you have to ask yourself, what manner of people are these? I will tell you what they are not. They are not of the ilk of the PNM. Because I, as leader of the People's National Movement since the 9th of September 2015 as Prime Minister, I always told my colleagues in and around the cabinet, you are privileged and should be honored to be a part of the cabinet of Trinidad and Tobago, but for God's sake, don't fall in love with office. And it is because that is the principle that the PNM follows why I could walk away from the office of Prime Minister and support the strongest member of my cabinet to be your Prime Minister in Trinidad and Tobago. And tonight, I simply ask you to look at that in the context of who is offering themselves in opposition to the PNM in 2025 is the same people. It's the same people who got the PNM support to bring to this country the Caribbean Court of Justice with the opposition PNM support, and we proudly received the Caribbean Court of Justice, expecting it to become our final court of appeal as Barbados have done and other CARICOM countries. Lo and behold, the results of the election after that threw up a PNM government and they were out of office and they wanted no part of the Caribbean Court of Justice. We had a problem here in this country between the people of Tobago and the people of Trinidad. A transportation problem, a boat problem. And for a year, it was making the news in this country every day. The hardship of the people of Tobago and the people of Trinidad doing business in Tobago was legendary during that period. And your PNM government took steps to find support because money was not available from our own pocket to go and buy the boats that were required or to lease boats. We went to the government of Australia. We negotiated with the government of Australia. And the government of Australia, our CARICOM friend and long-distance neighbor, supported us in getting ahead in the line to get built 2 fast ferries and added to that 2 offshore patrol vessels. You know what the UNC did in that situation? Knowing that we had a desperate connection between Trinidad and Tobago to be fixed, and knowing that they had squandered and skittled the offshore patrol vessels, which ended up in the Brazilian Navy and not serving Trinidad and Tobago, they took the money back from the builders and the thief that, and the end result is they went to Australia and sought to tell the Australian opposition to put obstacles in the way of the Australian government so they will not support the Trinidad and Tobago people to get the votes that we wanted. That is the same approach with COVID. It's the same approach with the boats. When the Australian opposition tell them where to get off because they didn't have a shred of evidence to point to any wrongdoing on the part of the government of Australia or the government of Trinidad and Tobago. They then wrote to the Australian Attorney General asking him to use his office to create couture in Australia to try to get those boats blocked. Today they hear them talking about crime, 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 as if they're concerned about crime other than committing crime. You would think that they would not know that the 2 offshore patrol vessels that can go out there and patrol for 28 days without coming back in could go out into our Eastern Ocean as no other boats could have done. They tried to buy vessels that failed. You would think that if they were seriously concerned about crime, they would have welcomed CG-41 and CG-42. But no, going to Australia, but nothing had changed. When Patrick Manning had tried to buy the 2 patrols from the English company, Vosper Thornycroft, they wrote the British Serious Crime Office and made allegations against Patrick Manning without a shred of evidence that that contract was corrupt. But I tell you this so you can understand the consistency of the misbehavior of the UNC led by Kamla Prasad Bisesa, Wade Mark, and their minions and misfits. But they could do that. Thankfully, you, the people, you have always intervened to protect yourself. And that is why today, in looking back at the COVID experience, you would have said, we dismiss the sunshine, the skill COVID, we dismiss the punching rum good for COVID, and we dismiss the no idea for COVID, and you followed the science behind the PNM and our healthcare professionals. You received the 2 Tobago vessels, the Bucko Reef and the APT James, that doesn't only serve Tobago, but it joins Trinidad and Tobago as an oceanic highway. And of course, what is worse, as I say, I'm going to talk to the public servants. Because I see one of them got herself elected by a handful of public servants and became leader of the PSA. That is not the PNM business, not the government business, except that being the leader of the PSA, the government wants to understand what you're telling public servants. Within hours of being elected, she finds herself on a UNC platform and saying that her primary objective as coming in to be president of the PSA is to remove the PNM from office. Well, let me say here tonight to public servants, wherever you may be, if your president succeeds in removing the PNM from office, many thousands of you will follow that by removing yourself out of your jobs. And let me tell you why. The government of Trinidad and Tobago, led most of the years by caring PNM governments, have taken on the responsibility of ensuring a quality of life for people in this country that is now at the level of almost impossible to fund beyond where we are. In a $60 billion budget, the largest expenditure in that budget is on the monthly payment to public servants wherever they might be. Every month, on average, not just public servants on the Gazette, you know. The government supports the payroll of some state enterprises. If WASA doesn't get a $200 billion from the Minister of Finance virtually every month, WASA workers cannot be paid consistently in the way that they have been, you know. But as Prime Minister, I could tell you, the hardest job of the government and of the Prime Minister is to ensure that there are revenues coming in on one side to ensure that expenditure can be supported on the other side. And nobody could give you any other equation. The singular equation that you should be concerned about in this country now is what is our revenue situation and what is our expenditure situation. If you listen to the PSA leader and the UNC and their campaign in 2025, all they are concerned about is improving and expanding the expenditure side of the equation. And to do that, to make it, honey, quoted for you, they tell you things like they will increase public servants' pay by 10%. Ladies and gentlemen, from this platform tonight, I could tell you, once a government comes in and gets on that pathway of making that kind of increase to public servants, the highway has to be labeled two names. One, you are going to end up at the IMF, the International Monetary Fund station, and you're going to get there by the road called devaluation. And let me tell all of you something tonight. If, God forbid, and there's a government in office that finds itself without revenues to meet the monthly expenditure to public servants, the one thing that government will not do is to write checks to you and then the checks bounce in the bank. Governments don't operate so. Before you get to that point where the checks will bounce in the bank, you cut the liability of requiring to write the checks. You know what that means? When the government finds itself in a position not being able to pay the payroll, ask Barbados what happened. It's tens of thousands of public servants that come off the payroll. Governments don't have you on the payroll working and can't pay you. They take you off the payroll. In this country, anybody who is telling you that they will incur expenditure that we all know the revenues cannot support, they are telling you in code that they intend to cut the public service. And let me tell you what my source of information tells me when I try to understand what the UNC is about. You know what the UNC is saying quietly and secretly? If they ever get to that situation where they come into office and they can't pay the bills that they're committed to and they cut the public service, is mainly PNM supporters that will be affected because the bulk of the public service is East-West Corridor people supporting the PNM. That is the conversation inside the UNC. And that is why they can't tell you, when you ask them, how are you talking about increasing expenditure by a 2 billion here and a 6 billion there and whatever? They say, okay, we will cut the revenue. We will cut corporation tax by 7%. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is madness. It might sound good on a UNC political platform to UNC misguided supporters, but if you go and cut 7% on corporate tax, that comes like a tax benefit and a tax relief to those who own the corporate world. And then you deprive billions of dollars to those who need the government revenue to pay their salary at the end of the month. What exactly is the UNC saying to you? You own $1 billion in houses in communities, $1 million homes. They're saying to you, the government must supply you with all the services, but you must pay no property tax. We must be the only country in the democratic world where people are making demands on the state to support their asset, their properties, and saying to the state, we're not paying any support tax for that. Ask all of them who own property abroad how much property tax they pay. And I'm not talking about a few $100s, you know. I'm talking about tens of thousands of dollars a year, depending on the property. And if you don't pay it, in a matter of months, you are in difficulty in those communities. So this business about election promise of no tax here and cutting tax that exists there and reducing the revenue there, people who are on the government payroll, that is a dagger aimed at your existence. Because already the government, with whatever you think of the current circumstance, where the government subsidizes your water, the government subsidizes your electricity, the government gives you free medical attention, the government supports education, free education, the government supports GATE, the government doesn't have a single toll road in the country, the government gives $6 billion a year in cash to the poorest people in the country and those who have earned a pension. After all of that, you could find it fit to be saying that time's so hard and the government is the source of your problem. Well, when you do that, let me just remind you that the government is only able to pay the existing bills that exist now by making borrowings to add to the revenue. So anybody who wants to increase the expenditure is asking you to do something else, which is to borrow more. And these are the same people who are already saying that we borrow too much already. That head of the PSA talking foolishness about bringing down PLM government will not tell you that when Watson Duke was head of the PSA, they accepted 7% in a time when the revenue was not so threatened, was not so straightened. And that 7% was accepted by Watson Duke. The UNC on the way out of office in 2015 contracted the government to an increase. When we came into office, we didn't question it because the government was contracted. The PNM government paid it to public servants. But we had to borrow them money, over $6,000 million, and paid that money to public servants. So when you hear public service leadership now talking about they didn't get anything and they want more and they want it now, what they are doing is playing the dog on the bone show. There's a story told in primary school, I don't know if it's still taught there, about a dog that thought it wasn't getting enough food from the kitchen. And one night it got a bone, one day it got a bone from the kitchen. And he was very happy to have got the bone. Gone by the riverside to enjoy this bone, because you know dogs love bone. When he look in the river, he see another dog with a bone. He grabbed at the bone that the other dog had. The bone in his mouth fell out into the river because he was watching his shadow and a shadow of his bone. That is what the PSA is telling public servants now. Go follow the UNC in their foolishness, trying to be popular and to have populist nonsense as policy. And you think that they will be in a position to give you more when the PNM already has demonstrated that the most caring government has given you the best that the country could afford. As I speak to you now, as subsidized as TNTech rates are in this country, the lowest in the region, not wanting to put pressure on you, the government has not moved in this environment to increase electricity rates. But bear in mind that TNTech owes NGC billions of dollars for the gas that they use, which somehow, somewhere has to be paid for. These are facts that the people of Trinidad and Tobago must accept. So when I became Prime Minister, in this environment, what attracted my attention? One is to make sure that public servants keep their jobs. in all the difficulty that we face from 2015 to now, with a reduction in price of oil and gas, an ongoing reduction in the volume of gas, we have not used reduction of jobs in the public service as a policy to fight the expenditure challenges. Not a single public servant has been removed from the Gazette Register as a policy because the government has not been able to keep them on and have their jobs take them to where they are. Contract officers, most of them are still in their jobs, and we have expanded opportunities in very many ways. So what is this talk about? Somebody coming to offer you monies that we don't have, that if we try to spend, will bankrupt the country and result in massive job losses in the country. You would have seen Prime Minister Young showing you two things. One is a statement in the parliament by the opposition leader that they will let the currency move to market rates. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, when a currency moves to market rate, it means whatever the market says it is what it is going to be. And where you have a government holding the rate at 6.85, the market could say any number, and all the advisors saying to us since 2015, make it 10 to 1, make it 12 to 1. But we know, the minute you do that, the people that feel the most hurt are the poorest people and the middle class in the country, because everything will cost more. They might be able to give you a bigger figure on your pay packet. If you're getting $7,000 now, it might go to $10,000. But the $10,000 cannot buy the same thing as the original $7,000 because the dollar has been devalued. And the only people who will benefit from a devaluation are people who have foreign currency and the government, because the government is the largest owner of foreign currency, but devaluation does not create more foreign currency. It simply calls for more Trinidad dollars for every foreign currency dollar. That's what it is. So this idea of having the dollar floated to market rate that the UNC is now hiding from, after she said it in the parliament. And secondly, Minister Young would have pointed out to you, it wasn't a slip of the tongue in the parliament. They wrote it in their program for the period ending 2025 and which would have started in 2020. What that means is, had they won the 2020 election, they had said in that document that they will devalue the currency during that period. Thank God they didn't win. And that is the only reason why the currency has not already been devalued. So when they come now and make all these promises going forward for the next 5 years, you have been warned. You, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, you have been warned. You put that bunch of corrupt kleptocrats in office, and the one thing you're guaranteed to get is a devaluation of the currency of Trinidad and Tobago. Now, in looking at the children's future, I saw where we're not only concerned about COVID and the hospitals today during the pandemic, looking at the market and the future of gas, we're not concerned only about today, because every day we consume billions of cubic feet of gas, and we have explored for the last 30 years around Trinidad and Tobago And we have not been able to find any new big gas fields. So we know that we are a mature province, and the likelihood of finding a big gas field within our border is not something that we could rely on to maintain our standard of living. So what I did as Prime Minister is to look at the future. And I see in that future a neighbor which has the largest oil reserves in the world. That's Venezuela. And that neighbor also has major gas reserves close to us. So it seemed to me, by my training and my experience, that the thing to do, since we are running out of gas on our side of the border, is to talk to our neighbor on the other side to access what they have for our industries here. Ladies and gentlemen, that was a position so different to the previous government that I need to tell you what the position of the previous government was. The previous government's position in trying to get increased production was to offer the oil companies what they call improved incentives. In other words, make it more attractive to them to do their business in our country. So when I became Prime Minister, it was the second week in my office, BP asked to see me. And they came on invitation to make a presentation to me. They did a PowerPoint presentation. And you know what they were telling me? They were telling me that as a result of the incentives given by the UNC to them, they will now be able to write off in any 1 year any expense that they incur in their operations. And as a result of that, going forward from 2015, we are not to expect any significant taxes from BP until 2025. So for the next 10 years, BP was not going to be paying any significant tax in this country. That was a gift of the UNC to BP called incentive. That was Kevin Ramnarine, Kamla Prasad Bisesa, and the UNC trying to inject interest. At the same time, BP is reporting increased profits in its operations in Trinidad and Tobago. Yet these clowns in the government believe that they have to give them incentives to do the business for their increased profits. Well, I, as your Prime Minister, I told Norm Christie in the office of the Prime Minister, if you believe that your shareholders can have increased profits, and I will sit down here and let my shareholders, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, not have any profits until 2025, you have made a mistake. And I asked that same Stuart Young, call London and tell BP in London I'm on my way. Because BP is still the largest producer of gas in this country. BP is no small fry, you know. BP is the largest producer of gas, telling me that they will not be paying any significant taxes for 10 years, thanks to the UNC. In a matter of months, BP's position in management had changed because something else was going on, you know. The same leader of BP was standing up in this country and saying that our national gas company should come out of the business because it's making profits that are not commensurate with the risk that they're taking. I told him I said, that is our involvement in the business. The profits is none of your goddamn business. It's the business of the people of Trinidad and Tobago, and the NGC will stay as a gas aggregator. And since that is your position on the people of Trinidad and Tobago, I told his bosses, I'm not prepared to do business with him. They brought somebody to replace him. She was one step worse, because she went and hired all the opponents of the PNM in the newspaper and make them into an advisory board to her. You know what that means? The government didn't only have UNC opposition in David Lee and Wade Mark and Kamla. The head of BP coagulated all the opponents in the newspaper as her advisor. And once again, the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago was on his way, this time not to London, but London coming to Trinidad. And we fixed that. And we proceeded to move towards restructuring of the energy business. Today I can tell you, as a result of the actions that was taken by my government to be able to pay public servants without any seam being broken, without any job being lost, as a result of the action we took, we got an extra $38 billion that we would not have got before. And that is how we kept this country whole and kept public servants having not lost their jobs. And the same people who put us in that situation coming to tell you now that they're coming to rectify the energy situation. They're serious? They could not be serious. And chopping out, the refinery closed down, the refinery closed down. Hello? Let me tell you the mentality. Because in this election, they have teamed up with the OWTU's leadership. Not the membership, the leadership. One who like to call my name and burn my picture in drums of fire, one called Ansel Roger. Here is conduct. When I became Prime Minister, one of the first things I did was to ask the OWTU to put 2 people on a committee to examine the problem that was Petrotrin. And they did. When that report came in, and the report showed the height of the mountain that we had to climb, the first thing the OWTU did was to come off the committee, because they didn't want to be there when the government is rectifying the problem, because they knew that this problem could not be allowed to go unattended. So David Abdullah and one called, I think, Marchand, came off the committee. I said, why are you coming off the committee when there's work to be done and you need to be involved? Well, the government proceeded to get all the technical help, all the specialist help, and we assessed the situation. Petrotrin, at best, with the refinery running and buying oil to refine it, best case scenario in the projection was to lose $2 billion every year. Would you believe that? So we decided, on the advice of our experts, to come out of the refining business, but to stay and restructure the rest of the business. That's how we end up with Heritage, and we end up with Paria, and the refinery was there. On the day when the decision was taken by the cabinet, I called in the OWTU to the office of the Prime Minister. I told Roger, bring your team. He brought 7 people and himself, so there were 8 of them there. And we explained to them what the government decision was, that we are going to have to come out of the refining business. Roger then asked me, does that mean that you are going to close the refinery? I said, well, if we are coming out of the refining business, yes, it means that we are going to close down the refinery. And the conversation went on for another 45 minutes, and then it ended. On the way out of my office, I am escorting Roger out of the office. He was just told by the government, 6 ministers in front of his team, what I just told you. You know what Roger asked me by my office door as he was leaving? The man asked me, when is the negotiation going to start? I am just telling you about this major development of the country coming out of refining, shutting down the refinery, and all your brain cells could think about is negotiation for next increase. But worse, all 8 of them left my office, and for 1 week, they never told the workers what the government told them. Until the government told the media what decision we had taken with the OWTU present and informed. You know what Roger did after that? He said, the Prime Minister lied. They were never told that the refinery is to be closed down. Now, how can you take anybody like that seriously? So I know exactly what I'm dealing with. So when I see him in some arrangement of prostitution with the UNC, that doesn't surprise me. That is where they've been, that is where they are, and that is where they are threatening to carry the country's serious business. Now let me tell you where the other threat lies. We have no problem with the people of Venezuela. There is no issue. Every now and then we used to have a little fishing dispute with a fishing boat being held in this water, that water, and so on. But even so, the people and government of Trinidad and Tobago are on friendly terms with the people and government of Venezuela. So when a Trinidad and Tobago government says, we are running out of gas in Trinidad and Tobago, and we should look to our friendly neighbor to obtain gas from them, that is a logical, sensible, responsible decision. The fact that people in Washington have problem with who is government in Venezuela should not prevent the people of Trinidad and Tobago from seeking to do business and trade with Venezuela. The fact that the American government want to put American sanctions on Venezuela, and they are being invited by the UNC to put American sanctions on Trinidad and Tobago, and to put sanctions on Rowley and on Young, because I had the temerity of allowing the Venezuelan vice president to visit Trinidad and Tobago. Like they don't understand what we said. We always quote Prime Minister Barrow of the Commonwealth Caribbean when we say we are friends of all and satellite to none. So here is the government breaking barriers and getting Venezuela, the government of Venezuela, as sanctioned and identified by the United Nations as the government of Venezuela, and Maduro as the president of Venezuela. We go and we got Venezuelan government to enter into a contract with the government of Trinidad and Tobago and give us a license to operate on a Venezuelan gas field that is near to our platform. The UNC, you think that they would be happy with that? No, they believe it's all about politics. And if this comes to pass, and the people of this country see the benefit of that, they will somehow not be able to win the next election. So from day one, they stood in opposition to what your government has been doing abroad. So the government recognizes the government of Maduro and Venezuela as the owner of the gas. The UNC recognized a president called Guaido, and you would hear the opposition leader, Kamla Persad-Bissessar, making disparaging terms about Nicolas Maduro, calling him a narco trafficker, and worse, going to the parliament in our country and committing our country to following the policy of the government in Washington. I didn't know Trinidad and Tobago was an American colony, so that what they do in Washington is our policy and our dictation. But of course, there are changes that come and go in Washington all the time. But our interest is not gas in Washington or who is in office in Washington. Our real interest is commercial access to gas in a Venezuelan gas field. Let us say for a minute, you all put God out your thoughts. On the 28th of April, and you vote the UNC into government, you could see the government of Venezuela, the so-called narco traffickers, and the this and the that and the other. You could see them entertaining Kamla Persad-Bissessar, Wade Mark, Alexander, Philip Alexander, the other Alexander, and Farabunda, all of them. You could see them saying to Venezuela, we want to continue the idea of access to your gas field. You know, as the changes in the world have been taking place, fast-moving changes, none faster than since the American presidency has been renewed. All kind of thing happening. America putting sanctions and putting tariff on Australia, on Germany, on Spain, on the world, and doing all kinds of things. We can't stop that. We are in no position to influence that. The only thing we can do is to keep hammering home to all those who we meet, who we talk to, who we do business with, is that the interests of Trinidad and Tobago will only be served if our sovereignty is respected and our opportunity to participate in world trade is allowed. That's all we can do. But when you are committing yourself to supporting policies in Washington, you know, you ask yourself, do they really know what these policies are? There's no policy in Washington that is more hostile to certain sexual lifestyles than what they practice here in Trinidad and Tobago. They're supporting that too. There is no policy in Washington that is more geared towards sending home to us here thousands of people who have grown up in America and who may not qualify for American citizenship one way or the other. They're supporting that too. Right? So these are people who are prepared to cost us dearly, because it is not only the Dragon gas field. All of a sudden, when they think that the Dragon project is dead, they're supporting it. When it was alive, they're trying to kill it. When it was alive, they're not supporting it. When it was alive, they're calling for sanction against us. But now when they think it is dead, we are supporting the Dragon gas field. The same way we are supporting Sandals when they think it is dead. Because they set out to ensure that none of these things come to pass, because they believe it's all politics. And if they come to pass, the PNM government will get the benefit. But we have another interest. Dragon is a 3.5 trillion cubic feet field. Loran Manatee is a 10 trillion cubic feet field. So all this thing about dragon, the bigger fish that is being fried now is manatee. Because we, this PNM government, we have been able to get the same Venezuelan government to agree to have Shell acting on our partnership behalf to go into the Manatee Loran field. If the UNC is the government that keeps insulting the Venezuelan government, the Venezuelan people, and turn their back on trade with Venezuela, can't you see how that also threatens the Loran Manatee project, where the Venezuelans have 73% called Loran, and we have 27% called Manatee? So is it that you will allow Kamla Prasad Bisesa, Wade Mark, and that bunch of kleptocratic misfits to destroy the possibility of Trinidad and Tobago accessing gas from Venezuela, to strengthen our revenue side so that our young people can have a future in the next 3, 4, 5, and 15 years? All because Kamla Prasad Bisesa want to win something? Well, I've beaten her before once. I've beaten her twice. I've beaten her thrice. I've beaten her 9 times. And in 2025, the PNM is going to beat her again. There is too much at stake to gamble with that bunch of jokers. Too much at stake. Because if they succeed in coming into office, when you ask them, what are you going to do to fund all these promises? They will cut out corruption. It's like you meeting Satan somewhere on the way to the monastery, and you ask Satan, what are you going to do when you get there? He said, I'm going to correct sin. The UNC is going to cut out corruption. They didn't cut out the $930 million they gave OAS. That is in the parliament. The parliament has been dissolved. We got no answer from them as to who took out the clause from the contract on the last working day of the UNC to allow the contractor to go away with $971 million. They wouldn't tell you who was going to get the $300 million extra on the Kirap overpass that they were building for $540 million. We built it for $219 million. They wouldn't tell you who they gave $200 million to, attempting to buy boats for the Coast Guard, and made the upfront payment, and the government of Holland intervened, and today is holding on to $100 million of our money that was meant to pay a bribe in that arrangement. But ladies and gentlemen, I know that some of you will vote because you don't like that. You don't like this person, or you don't like what is happening. The one thing I want to make sure in this election campaign is that you cannot say that you do not know the difference between the PNM and the UNC. And when you go and cast a vote for whoever you vote for on April 28th, this election campaign from the PNM platform will make sure that the one thing you cannot say is that you did not know the difference between the PNM and the UNC. You want to gamble? Gamble with your job. Gamble with the children's future. Gamble with the country's future. But I'm asking you, don't do it. If ever this country needed the PNM, it is now. You need stable, responsible government in this time of turmoil. Every hour, there is something happening somewhere around the world that is affecting us fundamentally. Every cannon that is fired in Ukraine is aimed at us. Because if Ukraine cannot protect its wheat fields, the price of flour is going to go up in this country. Every bomb that falls in Crimea, every day Russia keeps fighting Ukraine, is aimed at us because prices will go up. Anybody who tells you that there will be peace in the Middle East because somebody says so, they don't understand our history. So what we are dealing with here is a very difficult period that requires sober mind, and by sober I mean no vodka, no white rum, no punching. It means coming on the job. It means coming out of your bed. It means getting up out of your bed, going to the office, going abroad to the capitals, meeting people. How do you think we in the PNM government was able to extract, without breaking a single contract, we extracted an additional $38 billion from oil companies? How do you think we did that? By talking foolishness and talking about yellow is the code, and I'm going to give you this, I'm going to give you that, I'm going to give you this. You heard tonight from Camille about that gentleman in an advertisement on the television. You could see the dishonesty seeping through his pores, telling you that he had a $1,000 pension and the UNC gave him $3,000. It have two lies in that. One, Benji was never a public sector pensioner. He used to work for Telco. Remember Telco? He retired in 2003 or somewhere about there. In those days, $1,000 was plenty money. So because he managed to live long, instead of praising God for his long life, he telling lie on behalf of the UNC. It was the PNM. It was the PNM that lifted NIS pension, if that's what you're talking about, to $2,000 a month. That was a PNM action. But the UNC wanted to win an election as soon as they come in. You remember UNC had promised everybody $3,000? That was the election campaign of 2015, that everybody at age 60 will get pension. It is the same level of irresponsibility you are seeing now, or even worse, because that was only pension. Now they're threatening jobs. They're threatening jobs. When they came into government and you ask them, where is the $3,000 a month pension that all of us are supposed to get? They watched us in our face and say, we never said that. And when you show them it in the manifesto, they say, oh, it's Ernie Ross and them who make a mistake with that. It's the same people now who doing the same thing, offering you all kinds of impossibilities. I was housing minister in this country, and between 2004 and 2007, this country had the most aggressive housing construction program ever. You know, I see Jolene John and the UNC telling you that they will build 5,000 houses every month. Now, ladies and gentlemen, they must take you all for a different kind of fool. Because there are many years in this country when the entire year's program did not meet 5,000. Because 5,000 is plenty money to spend to build public sector housing. We don't have in this country the capacity to find land and the engineering to go with it to deliver 5,000 housing units a month, unless, of course, is Matchbox they're talking about. But they believe that by telling you these things, you will see a better future through them. But what you should see are desperate liars who don't care what they say. All they are concerned about is influencing you to waste your vote on them so they can get into office. And the last thing I want to tell you tonight, while the PNM was concerned about you, the UNC and its group of leadership misfits, this election is about them. They are concerned about what will work for them. We were concerned about you, and that is why in the health sector, we made sure we built the Point 14 hospital. We made sure we built the Arima hospital. We made sure we built the Sandy Grande hospital. We made sure we built the Roxborough hospital. And we made sure in Port of Spain, we built the 540-bed central block because we're concerned about you. It's because we're concerned about national cancer care that in a time of no money, we spent $79 million to buy and install in the St. James Hospital a Linac machine that provides the best quality of cancer care available anywhere in the world. That's what we do. But of course, it's because we care about young people why we created a Ministry of Youth Development. And today, thousands of young people who would have been drifting through their future are being trained to contribute to national development. But that's not about them. You know what they're concerned about? If you could be walking around with Jack Warner, who spent the last 10 years hiding from the courthouse in America, hiding from extradition, hiding from charges of the worst kind of fraud, disgraced the country. And that is what you walking around with in front of our children, to tell them it's okay to be a scam. It's okay to be a con man because you could still act as prime minister. In the PNM, we say no way. And if walking around with Rudal Munilal, who in front of the judge in the High Court in this country, where the judge has already ruled that he has not seen any witch hunt, what he has seen is serious allegation put in your defense. And you're walking around with Mr. Live Sport in a program that you started with $6 million that ended up at $400 million. So shameful and disgraceful that when he was in the parliament, he had to resign from the parliament. You bring him to Okran. Let me tell you all what you're facing. If you believe that those misfits who are running for the seats are the end of the story, you're sadly mistaken. It is the bunch of more despicable people who will end up in the cabinet by way of the Senate. You put God out your thoughts and give Kamla Prasad Bisesa control of more than 21 seats or 21 seats and see who she will put in the cabinet. All of them have already been promised to be in the cabinet. Devon Mirage came down from Canada, went in the police station and gave a written testimony against Ratiram. That didn't cause Kamla to bat an eyelid. Ratiram remained in the parliament. Right? In the parliament. And of course, put her in government as prime minister and you will get Ratiram as a minister. You will get Ram as a minister. He was one who was chased out of state enterprises. Remember the TSTT purchases? He is the man that waiting to come in the Senate. All those who they dare not put in front of the electorate. You remember Frankie Khan and Eric Williams? What happened when they were charged? Albeit that Dansam Dansuk had lied on them with the assistance of UNC operative And Kamla and Ramlogan knows a lot about that because Dansam Dansuk wrote his testimony after. But once they were charged, they were out of the parliament. What happened when David Lee was charged? A man on $1 million bail. You turn judge and jury for him in the parliament and saying he innocent. He remained there asking the prime minister question. Me who on no bail. But you know, I understand that there was a press conference today by the UNC. You're asking them about how they're going to fund all these promises, how they're going to cut this tax, but spend more here. They are flooding the zone with foolishness. So they called a press conference today, not to address these policy issues, but the big point is, Rowley had a car, and sometime a few years ago, he sold the car. And the man who buy the car is a contractor who working doing something for the LSA. Tonight, I want to tell that little walk and wine twit. There's a big difference. There's a big difference between selling a car and thieving a car. I am ready, willing, and able to deal with the DPP and anybody else for anything I sell. I'm afraid they can't say the same thing. But the level of ridiculous behavior has gone to the extreme. Imagine being accused of corruption by the UNC platform, a platform that gave us Section 34. Them changed the law in the parliament to protect Steve Ferguson, and then proclaim the clause in the middle of the night on the weekend, and Monday morning them in the court asking to be set free. But when the PNM came into office, we pursued the matter in the court in Florida. We won the matter. They now owe us $175 million US. If the UNC win the election, they will make sure that Steve Ferguson does not pay that money. That's what they're after. That's what they're after. That and many more. I mean, if I was Jack Warner and they're looking to jail me in the air, in the ground, underground, in every country you go, you're known as an international scam, right? I would walk around with a UNC too. But since when has shame died in this country? They have no shame. And in trying to give the impression that the government that I led was somehow involved in corruption, and they could come on a platform now to talk about equivalence and who sell car and who buy car, I will tell Saddam Hussein tonight, go to hell. That is not the issue in this election. The issue in this election is whether you cannot see a difference between the PNM and the UNC. And tonight, as leader of the PNM, I am particularly proud of the team that we have put forward to you. And I am most proud of the fact that I could have resigned this country and hand over the responsibility to a cabinet member like Stuart Richard Young. In these times, with the difficulties we're facing, we could not have got a better person who knows the road. He knows the ropes. He knows the people. He knows the issue. And he is competent. He's honest. He's a man of integrity. And of course, he's young. Ladies and gentlemen, this election might be one of the most important ones that we're having to face, largely because of how the environment in which we are existing is changing, and is changing for the worse. Notwithstanding whatever difficulty you may have now, notwithstanding how you may feel about how things may be hard in your personal condition, It could easily have been far worse if this PNM government, this solid, competent, ready and responsible government did not intervene to make things better for you. Whatever it is now, it is far better than what we inherited in 2015. Because had we not been able to restructure the LNG business to be in receipt of better earnings, had we not been able to get shareholding in Trains 2 and Trains 3, what would our future hold? Have we not been able to keep you out of the IMF? Today, you would have been a candidate long time, and the Trinidad and Tobago dollar would have been the very latest to be on the slide. Vote in your defense. Vote in defense of your jobs, your dollar, your future, your children, and your country. Anybody who could tell you to put party before country is nobody fit to run any part of any country. Put country before party. When you put country before party, you see Trinidad and Tobago, and you would not be one of those calling for sanctions on Trinidad and Tobago because we did business with our neighbor Venezuela. If you put country before party, you wouldn't be calling on Australia to cancel the loan that gave us the APT James and the Boko Reef. If you were putting country before party, then the PNM wouldn't have had to go to Jamaica to beg pardon for your behavior and to keep Jamaica as our largest market. And when you're talking about putting country before party, it is only the PNM could tell this country, we are not a party in the ordinary sense of the word, but rather we are a rally for all, cutting across race, color, creed, or class. Join together for united action. And that is why tonight I could say to all the decent, right-thinking people who find that they have ended up in the UNC, come out of it and come home to the People's National Movement. You'll be welcome there. Our party from 1956 opened its doors to all the people of this country, and our history shows that. And that is why tonight we can say to anybody, we can show you that we dispel and we abhor and we condemn the campaign of lies, the campaign of fear, and the campaign of hatred. It's an American president who said to his people, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Tonight I copy that to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself, because in united action, we can overcome any and all our difficulties. And right now, our biggest threat, our biggest difficulty is the threat that is posed by the United National Congress and Kamla Prasad Bisesa. So people, on the 28th of April, which is a few days' time, in Toko Sandy Grande, you vote for Roger Monroe. In Arima, you vote for Penny Beckles. In San Juan, you vote for Yusuf Ibrahim. In St. Anne's East, you vote for Nyan Gatsby Dolly. In Aruka Maloney, the new seat, you vote for Camille Robinson Regis. In Tunapuna, we on board with Esmond Ford. In Port of Spain South, you vote for Keith Scotland. In Chaguanas East, you vote for Rishi Sukai. In San Fernando East, you vote for Brian Manning. In San Fernando West, you vote for Faris Al-Rawi. In Point Fortin, you vote for Kennedy Richards. And we have a battery of young people supporting all those names that I've called there. And of course, in Dago Martin West, you are in good hands. You are in good hands. you vote for Hans Devines. In Tobago East, you vote for Ayanna Webster Roy. In Tobago West, you vote for Shamfa Kojo. In Dago Martin Central, you vote for Simon Dinobriga. In Dago Martin Northeast, you vote for Colin Imbut. In Port of Spain North, St. Anne's West, you vote for your Prime Minister, Stuart Richard Young. Ladies and gentlemen, the PNM's team is insurpassable. So when we all look for a cabinet in that crowd. Look for a cabinet from the PNM side. Compare that with a cabinet from the other side. And when you do that, you will jump for joy, knowing that the PNM is available for the next 5 years to lead the PNM, the country, in a difficult time. And you will say, with one voice, across the country, from Carenage to Sandy Grande, from Charlottesville to Point Fortin, from Chaguanas to Komuto, great is the PNM. Great is the PNM. Great is the PNM, and we shall prevail.
Stems. Yes, I can hear them saying, boys, stop living in the past. Where can I find that energy, the raw magic that comes down from the grassroots? Yes, I'm from a place where soca, the resounding power you could feel any time, any hour, sunshine or shower. You will feel it anywhere you look, and it read like a storybook. I come from when RUNG used to carry it. We used to carry it when the RUNG used to carry it. We used to carry it when the RUNG used to carry it. We used to carry it when the RUNG used to carry it. We used to carry it when Arima had it, Maturita had it, Santa Rosa had it, Donyaruga had it, in Mova had it, in San Juan had it, Soparia had it, local over downtown.
Hey! Oh, na na na. We built this on a strong foundation. Calling out the Red Army. This is a new chapter. Yeah, yeah. Oh, na na na. We're writing this.
Hey.
Listen.
How you feeling?
Let's make history.
PNM people.
Calling out all of me. Friends and family with love for TNT. From the mountaintop to the valley low.
Where the PNM people? Hands in the air, come on. We working, we building,
we gonna make it better.
Where the rag? Where the left and right? Come on, left, right.
Nation's future.
This is the movement, we all in together. Not just the one, my sister, my brother. Bodies there in your hand, PNM is the plan. Ready, hold it steady. Hey, that we are one blood flowing through we vein. We stand strong, enemy on the road again. We are one, every creed and every race. We stand strong, together no matter the ways. Hey, from Frederick Street to Boko Reef. We are one, the bodies there is what we need. Hey, tell them this I say it been. Hey, the PNM we need again. Hey,
we taking it to the streets wherever we meet. We talking to everyone all over the country. The message is loud and clear. We want you to volunteer.
The PNM,
country before party.
PNM,
so no rain.
Hey, we remain.
We gonna make things better. Young and old,
standing tall. This is our future. Together we standing, no tries intertwined. Working together, your future and mine.
Let's do this.
When the bodies and people, PNM people scream.
We are one. We stand strong.
Body on the road again.
We are one.
Every creed and every race.
We stand strong.
Together, no time to waste.
We want your
from Frederick Street to Boko Reef.
We are one.
The bodies is what we need.
We want your
Hold on. hear all you sing, you know. On the 28th, I just want to hear all you say. Say, we want young. Say louder. We want young. Louder, louder. Hey. That way on the 6th again. Louder. Hey.
This is a new chapter. Join us on the road to victory. On Monday, April 14th, La Hokata, the People's National Movement, will be having a public meeting at Phase 2 HDC Car Park. We're red, ready, and responsible. Vote PNM. Great is the PNM.